Good evening, everyone. We're a couple of minutes late because we were screwing around in the back in the green room here. Michael's insane, so we had to get him. Jay had to give him a shot to get him under control.
A little bit of
those kind of
sedation.
things. So yeah, a little sedation. It's a little sedation or a little pain pills always good for a radio show. No, not me, people. No, no, no. I'm drug free mostly. I mean legally, I'm drug free. Sorry, I don't give nobody the wrong idea here.
Are
I'm
you
not doing anything
federally drug
illegal.
free, or are you state drug free?
I'm
Or are you
both, man.
New York state of mind drug free?
I'm DC drug free, which is even better.
Oh,
And if y'all don't know what that means, all I can tell y'all is go check out the laws in DC, and you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, go hang out
Anyway,
in DC
guys and
for a
girls,
weekend.
yeah, DC. Well, marijuana is legal in DC, which we're going to talk about after a while on the show, guys. So if you are a pot smoker, or if you're anti-pot, or if you're somewhere in between, we will be discussing some of the craziness going on with marijuana later in the show. But we're going to open up with, oh my God, did the FBI tell Mark Zuckerberg not to put Hunter Biden stuff on Facebook? What the is going on?
that's what he said.
Okay, yeah, it is what he said, and he said it in front of Congress. So first off, whoever said this, why aren't they up on charges? I don't understand this. I mean, why isn't whatever FBI agent said this,
It's
or whoever
obstruction
told him
of
to say it,
justice, isn't it?
It is obstruction of justice.
Yeah.
It's also covering up for someone who's known to have broke the law.
It's obstruction of
I
evidence.
don't get it. And then of course you've got a whistleblower came out yesterday and said that the FBI was slow walking the case because of the president. So now we know for a fact we can't trust the FBI at all anymore, at all. The agents maybe, but everybody else from the middle guy up, you just can't be trusted because everything we're hearing now is
The
completely
administrative end,
political.
you mean, at least.
Yeah, I mean it's disgusting now. I mean, it was bad enough with Hillary and the crap that went on with Hillary, but now it's even worse. I mean, come on, guys. I mean, what are you doing? I mean, how? I don't even get it. Okay, we know Hunter Biden's guilty. Even the New York Times knows Hunter Biden's guilty, and they're pro-liberal, and they still know Hunter Biden's guilty, and even they're kind of like, and they're the ones who busted the FBI, by the way. They're the ones who originally busted the FBI, and then this whistleblower comes out and says, no, they're intentionally slow walking this case. But like they said, they can't slow walk it all the way to the next election, so it's got to come out before then. I guess they're just trying to keep it. They kept it away from the election. Now they want to keep it away from the midterms. Look, somebody needs to go to jail for this. Let's just be honest about it. Somebody at FBI, whether it's Garden or whoever, somebody over there needs to go to jail. It's a DOJ. Somebody is allowing illegal things to go on inside the FBI. And I don't know when the FBI became a political arm for the liberals, because I know a lot of agents over there, and they're not all liberals, so I'm confused. That needs to change. Now, because of this, we should have a rule that if you're a conservative or a liberal, you can't serve as the head of the FBI because you can't be trusted, that you won't do something. All this is about is to slow down the progress that the Republicans were making for the midterms. That's what this is about. They want to just slow it down. They want to cast doubt on Trump for 2024, and they want to make him look bad in front of everybody before 2022. But you know what? I seen his numbers today on 6 different polls, and he's just, first off, money wise, he won't even have to have any money for the election. He'll have more than he needs before. Then they said before the end of this year, he will have raised $200 or $300 million. That's all it cost him to run in 2020. Was $370 million, the lowest amount of money spent on a campaign in 3 decades. Obama spent $1 billion each time. Hillary spent almost $700 million. Even with Pretty Boy being locked in the basement, he spent $500 million. How did Biden spend $500 million on a campaign? I mean, I didn't even see the man on TV. I mean,
buying his son hookers and crack.
Yeah,
that's what he's been doing.
That's right. Hunter's got it. You're right about that.
Hunter makes a lot of money. It's funny.
I know. Well, right now he's staying in today's in some friend's $20 million mansion, just hanging out for the weekend. Come on, guys. I mean,
did you see what it cost?
I want to hang out in a $20 million mansion.
They had to build a special fence. The Secret Service around that mansion cost millions just to build the fence. To keep people away from that idiot.
Secret Service. I mean, he's a grown man now. If he was a young kid or something like that, I could see it. Well, I guess he is the son of the president, so I can give him Secret Service. But still, look, first off, I lost before all the drug and cocaine and slutting and whoring. The fact that he slept with his dead brother's wife within a year of his death told me all I ever needed to know about Hunter Biden. He is just a low-life piece of crap. I don't even know if I'd let my Chihuahua crap on the man because he's so disgusting.
I know he would be a lot of fun to hang out with, wouldn't he?
You know, he is just a lowlife.
A weekend with Hunter Biden if you survive.
Well, no, it wouldn't be good to hang out with because all his friends go to jail. He just doesn't.
Yeah, you'd be going to jail with him.
Yeah, friends? So you would be the scapegoat, so he wouldn't have to go. Yeah, it's not good to hang out with Hunter Biden. All his buddies are in jail. A lot of them are in jail for dealing drugs. Yeah, so you don't want to hang out with Hunter. You want to stay as far from, unless you filthy, stinking, rich and part of the government. You don't have nothing to do with this kid or this man.
And a Democrat. You'd have to be filthy, stinking, rich and Democrat to not go.
So
with him.
They said today there was at least 31 Chinese accounts, each one worth several $1 million, and several of them with percentages allotted to the big man.
The big guy.
The big guy is Joe Biden. That's who the big guy is. And I really think the liberals are going to use it.
Yes, he's been identified by Hunter's business partners as Joe. Yeah, Joe Biden is the big guy.
Well, I think the libs are saving this until 2023 because if they don't want Biden to run, then they can just let this come out and then he's out. He can't run. There's no way the country won't vote for him. So somebody else will come in. But it's not going to help the Democrats because if they have that kind of big scandal just before an election, they're going to lose anyway. So maybe they already know they are. I mean, maybe they are. Now today, so I'm cruising. I see Trump's numbers and I'm cruising along and all of a sudden I see Joe Biden. He's at 48%. I'm like, what? And then another place had him at 45%, higher
ABC
than Ronald Reagan.
41 and change this afternoon.
Yeah, they said higher than Ronald Reagan or Jeb Bush or Obama or any president in the last 20. Liberals, you can't lie like that. We're all looking at you going, really? Do you really think we believe that bullshit? Look, if it's not a bipartisan poll, don't bother, okay? If it's NBC, CBS, ABC polls like that are garbage. They only poll 100%. APC does 1,000. It's also garbage. It's also a liberal poll. Most of the polls they're going to cite are going to be liberal polls. No, you need to find that like Quinnipiac and the ones in the middle. And if he's doing good there, then he's actually doing good. If he's not, then they're lying. And it just gets disgusting. And what I do now, and that's why you see so many polls come down there. When I see a poll now, I'll write to them, ask them for the demographics. If they don't provide the demographics, I will write them and say, well, I'm going to report you and we're going to have to launch a suit because obviously this is a fake poll. And this is what our poll results say for that same week with 5,000 people. And they usually just pull them. They just make them disappear is what they do. And, because they don't want to get sued. But I'm not rich enough to go after them financially. All we can do just harass them until they pull a poll. And they're usually pretty good about it. They're usually pretty good about
people listen to us complain. Well, we're bringing to light the things that need to be brought to light.
Well, all this stuff.
This corruption is not unique to the United States of America. Oh, no, this corruption is worldwide. You have leaders that really, some of them have no problem at all doing it right in front of your face. You
act like this kind of corruption's in Israel. There's no corruption in Israel. There's no corruption in the UK, man. Come on now. Be nice to these people.
Oh, UK.
Whoever sent me that message. No, I love the UK people. They're great over there.
They can't.
Oh, now nice Canada. Bar, there's corruption in Canada. Any president who thinks he can wrap himself nude in their flag, he should have been taken out and beaten. He probably would have liked it, but still. I mean, do you know our country? Could you see Joe Biden up there wrapped in an American flag with just his little thing covered? Oh my God, the country would lose his mind. I mean, they would. Could you see Donald Trump? Oh, Jesus, the whole planet would lose their mind. I mean, come on.
Yeah, on the cover of Big Boys in Boots, Donald Trump and his amazing cocktail wiener.
Wait, well, y'all talk for a minute. I got to make sure we're on all the big servers. Hold on.
Listen to the Donald talk about having steak with ketchup. He buys these $1,000 steaks and smothers it with ketchup.
I don't even put A1 steak sauce on my steak unless the cook burnt it.
I don't put anything on the steak. That's why you have
salt and pepper. That's it. That's my sauce.
You know what? I learned how to make the perfect steak. You gotta leave them out. You gotta put a little salt and pepper on it, and then kind of rub it in a little bit. And then you take butter, and then you rub the butter on the steak, and then you make them. Then afterwards, you take a little bit more butter. You put it on there. Oh my God!
The end, yeah. You put a little bit of butter on the end after it comes off this. While it's cooling on the cutting board. Yes.
That's the stuff. The only time you want to cover it up, the meat is when you're using cheap meat, or that's when people need to tenderize
or if it's specifically like prime rib or a filet mignon that's usually undercooked. They're usually in the rare to medium rare area. They give you a dipping sauce. Usually it's béarnaise sauce, but yeah, unless it's burnt, and there ain't nothing going on my steak but salt and pepper and a couple pieces of butter.
I like a nice strip steak. A little bit of marbling, not a lot. You know what I mean? Because the marbling is like the beef butter. You got to have that. The meats that don't have any kind of marbling, you don't get the same taste. Yeah. Well, that's cool.
What you need to do next time, Michael, next time you get your butter ready, you take some spices, like some Italian spices or oregano and whatnot, maybe just a little bit of garlic, because a little bit of garlic goes a long way, and mix it into the butter, and you put that pat on at the end, and that drizzles flavor all over it once you're done.
So I take my garlic, chop it up, throw it in the pan, get it brown. I love garlic.
I leave for a second. Y'all talking about food. Shame on y'all.
We hungry.
Just Joe. Shame on you two. Man, y'all talking about food on your own time. Damn it. I'm sorry, people. They're insane. What can I say?
We're talking about the perfect steak. We didn't even get to the propane versus charcoal.
Yes, we ain't getting to that on while we live. We can do a barbecue show on that. That's a whole different show. So I want to go back to Hunter for a minute because I'm curious about something. So I know there was stuff about hookers and places and cocaine and stuff like that and other drugs besides that. And then there are some rumors, and I think it was at the Post or the Times let him out that he's actually brought drugs back on Air Force One.
Ooh, smuggling on Air Force One.
In the diplomatic pouch too, so no one can look at it.
So not the first time that's ever happened. Eh?
Yeah, well, I'm not going to say that's the first time it's ever happened, but it's extremely illegal. It's the first time we've ever really talked about it. I'm thinking, look, man, this is big time. I mean, do you know how much trouble you'd get for it? First, I mean, how many laws would you broke internationally?
Well, you have to understand about the Democrats right now. They don't care who breaks the law and how they blatantly break the law.
No, they don't.
That's the Republic.
They don't.
There's a crime wave in every city. There are people running amok, people committing crimes, doing what they want to do, stealing, hurting other people, killing other people and getting released, shooting police officers and getting released. There's no rhyme or reason to their actions. They are not enforcing the laws that there are on the books. I mean, even Hochul, the governor of New York, had to come out last week and put a guy back in jail that they released who violated his lifetime parole by sucker punching somebody and sending them into a coma. There's no reason. Wow. He was just standing there. But that's what's happening. That's where we're at. And I see the crime every day all over, not just New York City. I mean, everywhere. But the Democrats are not prosecuting. They're not, or they put it on the slow road and let them go. And you'll see this Hunter Biden thing. It's in a court in Virginia. They'll find some clause to kick it out, right? And then they'll have to challenge it and go back, and it'll take years just to get the wheels grinding.
Or even worse, they'll send him through court. He'll get convicted. He'll go to prison. He'll get out of prison. He'll run for president and win, just like that Marion Barry did.
They'll never put him through court.
Wait, who do we put through court? Wait. What did I miss here? Who do we put what through court?
Hunter Biden. They'll never put him through court with his father.
No, well, what they'll probably do with Hunter Biden is Hunter Biden will go to the quiet court, which goes behind scenes. We won't get dismissed much of it because it's not going to get dismissed. It can't be. Some of the charges. No, it's not going to be dismissed. If it would have been dismissed, it would have already done it. It's been 2.5, almost 3 years. They would have dismissed.
They're already saying it's a matter of national security. Believe
so what they're going to do is they're going to bring him. It's going to be a behind closed door things because it is a matter of national security, and he has been around national security stuff. So he can't go to a regular jail anyway. So what they'll basically do is they'll give him like 4 years of house arrest. But that's if Daddy don't pardon him, which Daddy might do. Nobody's really worried about him going to jail because if he's going to go to a hardcore jail, Biden's pardoning his ass. If he's going to be like in house arrest, or if he's going to go to the pretty boy jail, like the one where our governor went and had all kind of conjugal visits and catered meals, and it's jail because you can't go running around the country, but it's not jail like everybody else goes to.
It's club fed.
It is club fed, and but unfortunately, they got to do something with Hunter. They, at this point, I mean, the FBI is coming under so much scrutiny right now. If they don't, I don't know if they can maintain their reputation at all. If people don't understand, but if the FBI loses its credibility, they're no longer a functional, effective organization anymore because people will just not help them at all.
I
That's
don't
why
think they
what's his
care.
name? That's why the DOJ came out and said, "Well, we can't release this because if we release this, it'll kill the trial." And he's right, it will, because once people get out and hear about it, they're gonna be like, "No, we're not talking about that. We're not gonna say it." They're trying to catch these people and threaten them on an individual level, and that's how law enforcement always has worked. They isolate you and then they tell you all this bullshit, which 90% of it's a lie because they can't do it to you, but you don't know that, so they keep telling you. But if it's made public and and your lawyers heard and other people have heard, then they can't back you into that corner.
You're talking about the real world, but these guys they don't function in the real world. They function in the world of they can do whatever they want to do, and nothing will
Yeah,
ever
but they
happen to them.
can't really do whatever
You
they
know,
want. They can try to do whatever they want.
Look
But
at
for the
Hillary
most part,
Clinton. She's a perfect example of doing whatever you want to do, and then nobody
well,
can do anything about it.
but that's not exactly true. She's been shut down. Hillary hasn't been able to do anything for a decade now. She can go play and stuff, but nobody pays any attention to her at all, which is worse than her than going to
She's
jail.
still there. She's still giving
Yeah, but she can't do
these
anything.
interviews.
Nobody cares about her endorsements.
What's to
Nobody
do?
even
They're
asks her
super
for
rich.
endorsements.
I think that's their whole deal. Is just to have everything, and
So
they're
for
above the law. They don't
she
exist by the same tone that we did.
but
I
she's
go out and
she's
commit a
wasted.
crime, I'll be arrested, and then convicted or whatever, or
Well,
not,
no,
whatever
see,
the
that's
court
not true
process.
either. It's a different standard of evidence. So if you want to put Hillary and Clinton in jail, you've got to catch her with a camera on cam for the world to see. If you can't do that, you're not putting her in jail.
I'm sorry, just for her bribery, for her accepting bribes, and I don't care about pay to play. That you're dumbing it down and saying it's something nice, pay to play, like it's a kid's game. It is felony bribery, and then she engaged in it multiple times, took in millions. Since she hasn't had any power, she hasn't been able to take any money. And isn't that interesting? No
and
more pay
she's
to play
under.
for her. But it's the law. It's the law, and you can't
And
do that to the system.
and you know what? The one of the groups the other day just said, one of the alphabet said the other day that somebody's got to go to jail for her for the Clinton Foundation. So unfortunately for the Clinton Foundation, there's only 3 people that can go to jail: Huma Abedin, her daughter, or Miss Clinton. But somebody's got to
Chelsea
go to
said
jail.
she used the bank account, the credit cards, as her personal bank account.
Yeah, and so Chelsea might be the one that goes to jail, but one of the 3 of them got to go to jail. They pretty much already said that.
$2.5 million wedding, and they took $1 billion from Haiti.
So
to
what
help
they'll do
rebuild
is
Haiti. Apparently, not one of those dollars got through to Haiti. Not
of
one.
course they did. And so what they'll do now is they'll say, okay, well, she did this and it was stupid on her part, but it's a first offense and blah blah this and blah blah that and blah blah this, and she'll get convicted, but she won't go to jail.
It's the Clinton crime family, and they all look out for each other.
Dog shit, they really are. I mean, they got most of their money from that Whitewater thing back in the 80s or whatever, and they actually had some of their friends murdered because of it, and yet they didn't go anywhere to jail.
There's what is it, 123 deaths associated with Miss Clinton,
something like that, yeah.
And it's a ridiculous amount of people around her that die. It's just incredible
by accident.
And remember, she was a Nixon fan until Watergate, and then she was one of the people who tried to help go after Nixon, which never made any sense anyway. And he didn't even have to step down. They didn't have enough votes to convict him. They didn't have enough to impeach him, which I was kind of that shows you the Republicans are different now. Now the Republicans like, screw you, you ain't getting us out unless you get the votes. And apparently the country didn't want him out because they didn't vote anybody they didn't change the Senate or the House. They just left it the way it was. So people had spoken. He wanted him to stay as president. I just don't know. This 2024 election is going to be interesting because Biden says he's running. And I heard him yesterday. He's giving that fiery speech they called it. It was kind of boring, but he said he's running. I'm not going to let Trump run this country. I'm like, really? Okay. If you can keep him out.
He's got any say in it. I mean, it's not his choice.
Why? But he thinks he does. I mean, I think he thinks no matter what, he's going to win.
Because that's what they told him. That's what they told him last time. He didn't run last time. He was in the basement. He didn't run. They put him in there. They inserted him. Because that's all that they had. And then they disgraced Trump with all kinds of COVID nonsense and whatever. Saying that he's the worst possible person in the world, he's evil, and blah, 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 blah. It's all personal attacks. I was on somebody's Facebook earlier, and they put pictures up Kelly McGillis and what's his face, Tom Cruise, right, for back in the day than what they look like now. You know what I mean? So, and I guess it was a liberal threat. I didn't realize that. So I was like, women age like milk and men age like fine wine. You know, it's an old saying. But man, people were, you know what? They didn't attack what I said. They attacked me, saying, "Oh, you're this and you're that. Well, you're ugly, whatever." You should have seen the people saying I'm ugly. That was hysterical, man. I think I want to be a professional heckler and just go out there and heckle the hell out of people and just laugh about it. But that's the liberal mindset. Attack the person on their character. It's character assassination, right? It's all the shit testing that they do and all the nonsense. It's not the subject, but okay, so here's the subject. Crime's out of control. There's a crime wave. What are we going to do about it? You know, when someone says that, they attack you, individual. You're this and you're that. We don't, has nothing to do. All right, I'm Satan, but there's still a lot of crime out there. What are we going to do about it? You know what I mean? Say what you want. I'm Satan Jr. Fine. Whatever you want to say about me is fine, but that doesn't address the problem.
Yeah, they can't attack the facts either. They attack the person giving the facts. Doesn't matter what the facts are, true or false. They always go after you.
Go after the messenger.
Yeah.
I'm just a messenger. That's one of the things I write when I'm being really obnoxious, going after people. I'm just a messenger, or in my humble opinion.
Yeah.
So, what about this loan forgiveness? Are we all cozy with that? You're good.
I want a degree out of it. If I'm going to pay it off, I want a degree, man.
Yeah.
I want a master's or a PhD.
People that don't have degrees, where's their relief? You know, people that there are people that didn't even finish high school, don't even have a GED. Where's their extra bit of cash? If they're working, they're paying taxes. That money went.
Well, they're paying for those loans. Yeah,
that's what and those loans are going to be depending on what kind of.
I like how your boy put it today. He said, "Well, let me get this straight. We're going to forgive loans on people from $125,000 down, which is not poor people. Now I can understand if you were in the 40, if you were 50 or under. Okay, maybe we could talk about some forgiveness. 50 and over, no." If you're making 50 and over, no, you don't need loan forgiveness. You need to pay for your own damn college like everybody else does. You don't even really need a Pell Grant. You just need to go out and get a loan and pay for your college.
They can afford that $60,000 hybrid smart car, but they can't afford to pay their loan back.
Yeah, so in the end, and it's just unfair to millions and millions. So it's unfair to a lot of the millennials, to the X-Geners, the baby boomers. I mean, you have 4 generations of college people before the ones they want to give a break to. Why are we giving the Z-Geners a break? They're a pain in the ass. They need to learn how it is to pay money back like the rest of us have to do. I mean, what? They're going to think they're going to see. That's a bad thing. So a lot of these Z-Geners have been given money here and for these things and for that things. And then COVID, they were getting money and free money and more free money. Now they're going to get some of their loans forgiven.
Not the whole
you might be screwing up the generation.
Yeah, but not everyone's going to get the whole loan. There's 2 different pathways, and depending on what kind of grant. If you went through like a Pell grant, you get up to $20,000. If you didn't, you get up to $10,000. Some of the debt will be completely quashed, and some people will have it significantly reduced, but still have to continue paying whatever the residue is. So
now I'm really confused.
It's only targeting people who got a college degree, and those people who don't have a college degree, where's their money in debt relief?
They could use it because they're the ones paying for it,
and they're probably the ones who are struggling to get steak on the table.
But like the boy said, he said, "Well, so wait." He said, "Our policemen and our firemen are going to pay for these people to get a break on their college." He said, "I don't even think that's fair. Maybe we could use that money to give them a raise."
Mm-hmm.
Not bad. Give them a raise.
Give them a raise and buy them new equipment. I mean, how many fire departments out there have antiquated fire equipment?
No, Glenda, I don't think anybody here is anti-law enforcement. No, we need law enforcement. Look, I'm from New Orleans. If we didn't, I mean, as it is, law enforcement there is worthless. We need it. Without it, the city would just be a rampage. It'd be killing people all over, blowing stuff all over the place. It's gotten so bad in New Orleans. If I remember correctly, they're actually asking. They've got a thing for a recall on our mayor. Yeah, because she sucks that bad. LaToya. She from Compton, California. She came down here to go to Dillard to go to college. she got straight out of Compton. She came down here, went to Dillard's, went to college, to Xavier. I'm sorry, not Dillard's. She went to Xavier for college, and she got a college. She got a job with the city. While just before she ran for mayor, they found that because she was on the water board, I think, just before she ran for mayor, they found out that she had run up like $85,000 in credit card debt and hadn't paid it back, and nobody knew what the credit cards were. And they didn't. And a lot of the stuff wasn't even for anything to do with her job. So they got her on it. Well, she won as mayor. She beat a judge out to be mayor, and it just disappeared. So it's strange. I mean, it's because the other woman would have been a much better mayor for the city, but it's hard, man. It's hard to get people to vote.
Yeah, well, you reach the right palms and the gears start rolling.
And they just, I don't know why they wanted this woman in there. Because I mean, everybody agrees. I mean, nobody even know how she got in or even got a second term because she's just crap. But none of us actually live in a city. We all live in the suburbs, so it's not the same for us. We don't have to actually be downtown. Only the people who live down there have to put up with it. And a lot of the people who work down there don't live down there. They live outside of the city. So, but they got a recall going on, so we'll get her.
Depends what people get threatened with in the election process. They don't say what they're going to do anymore. They're more about threatening you or what the other person's going to do to you or take from you. And that's our system of politics.
Personal attacks on the other on your opponent. That's how it's been for the last several decades in the political arena.
That's exactly right. That's why I'm going to run as the devil for president, and they can say whatever they want to say. I'll agree with them. That's right, but we got these problems. What are you going to do about that?
New York Post
people
poll.
Be like, the devil's right. I vote for the devil.
Leave the devil alone. His ex-wife is a bitch, man.
The first thing the devil's going to do is going to charge all churches and synagogues taxes for the property that they own.
George Carlin said that we could eliminate the national debt alone if we just merely taxed all the churches in the country.
I will make you pay.
Leave the guy alone, man. Anyway, I'm gonna get back to Biden. I love Uncle Biden. I think I might be related to him by some way.
Uncle China Joe.
Yeah, you're trying to change your name to Biden so you get some special
cracker
stuff.
Hey, man, look at Hunter. I mean, Hunter getting away with murder, dude. Well, everything
hookers,
but murder.
Russian hookers.
I want to fly around, get millions of dollars given to me because my name's
private
Biden. Hell
plane.
yeah, who would? But Biden's job approval improves. But still, almost 53% of Americans still thinks he's doing a bad job, a horrible job, and still another 15% thinks he's doing a bad job. So he's only really about 33 or 35% of people actually think he's doing a good job.
I know Democrats who are in disbelief. They can't even make a comment because they see what's going on. Their brains are registering it. They know what they're told, all the lies. Then they got to deal with that. These people aren't idiots, I mean, they're regular old people. It's tough because they don't know. They don't know what the future holds, and a lot of people feel like that right now, especially a lot of young people. They're afraid of the future because of what's going on, especially now. And then it's not just the crime wave. It's not just baby formula shortages. It's not, the high fuel prices and the high food prices. It's everything crunching. Look at the market today. I mean, it dropped over 1,000 points, because the Fed doesn't know what the hell they're doing, and they come out with conflicting statements all the time. The Democrats wanted this power, but every time they do it, you know what they do? They get the power, they weaken our military. That's what they're doing now. They're, the signups from enlisting from Army, Navy, all that is at an all-time low. And then they have recruitment drives. They're trying to get people in the Air Force or whatever. So you have a huge problem, and there's a lot of people leaving the military also. So this is all going on at the same time. Obama did the same thing. He weakened us. He weakened our economy. He weakened our country. They want us to rely on globalization, on the world system, and the people who are giving them money and fueling them have no interests here in America other than to use us and control us, and that's what's happening now. I mean, and look what the crime, I would charge the goddamn DA in New York City as an accomplice for allowing all these criminals to go, and they can go run out and commit more crimes, murder or rape or whatever. Come on, man. So what are you supposed to do? I'm gonna start a new business. You guys listening right now, and Jay's my attorney will know. A brute squad. You can call the
Yes.
brute squad, right? And then your block is in trouble. The brute squad will show up. We got a band of mercenaries, and we're going to send them out. And that's your brute squad. Anybody comes near you, the brute squad will take care of them.
Jesus.
That's it. And then nobody will ever arrest us for committing any crimes because they don't do that anymore.
Let's see, can I grab this?
Well, I mean, part of that is, you don't necessarily need a brute squad, but, it's almost impossible to get a permit to carry a gun in the city, in New York City. But when you do
now you can, though. They changed
every place, they require that license, that concealed carry license requires you to intervene if there's a crime going on. It requires you to intervene and stop with your gun. So if more people do that, maybe we wouldn't need, as much, maybe not necessarily smaller police forces, but we wouldn't need as many police on the streets because people are policing themselves.
I was just reading today the new rules that they're trying to put out about, having training for 16 hours and you have to pass the test and get better than 80% on the test, just to have the handgun and all that. So a lot of that's going to be just thrown out. The Supreme Court didn't put any of that in there. You know what I mean? This is New York State still saying, New York State still saying this, that, and the other thing. Whatever, man.
Well, I heard them the other day talking about New York. Might as well quit what they're doing because it's all going to be tossed.
I'm not against training. I'm part of 3 gun clubs, 2 of them actively, and people need to learn what they do. We don't let people shoot there unless they're checked out, and then we have a 15-point checklist if they know how to use the goddamn thing. You know what I mean?
That's not a bad idea.
Because you don't want other people getting shot at gun range. You don't need any accidents at the gun range. So but it's not going to stop people from getting guns. And then look at England right now. They have a huge problem with gun violence, And, when a 90-year-old girl just got killed because there was a guy being chased by these other thugs, and then they all were shooting at each other, went into her house, with where their parents are sitting there, started shooting at each other. They didn't even know each other, She's dead. Other people are dead. They say the same thing. We got to get, these guns are the problem. They have the toughest gun laws in the world, the United Kingdom. Mm-hmm. You can't own a gun there unless you jump through all kinds of fire hoops. But if you're a criminal, you can get a gun anytime you want. And that's what you never hear these politicians ever say that. We need to get the illegal guns off the streets. You never hear that saying. We need gun control, they say. And then gun control on honest people.
Yeah, because liberals can't take over the country as long as 180 million of us have guns.
They want you to stay in. They want you to cower. They want you to be afraid. They want you to be dependent. And then when they throw you a bone, they take all the credit and throw their chest out. This is the MO of these political orders from the beginning of time. There's nothing unique to the US. This is the Roman Empire. It's all these others. They all do the same thing. Divide and conquer, power and control. People get out of line, you knock them down. And it's that simple. And now all the masses they have hooked either on welfare or they're hooked on some other thing, or even if you just have a job and that you live paycheck to paycheck and you can't afford to lose that job, keeps you in line to a degree, right? So this is where we're at. That's all there is.
It's insanity is what it is. Well, here's your Uncle Cracker's poll number. Let's see.
That's why they're legalizing weed. Let people feel a little better about themselves.
No, that's not why they're legalizing weed, man. Don't fool yourself. That ain't why they're legalizing weed.
So people don't give a crap anymore.
So this is remember the other day they were comparing Biden to Kennedy and Reagan and everybody else. So George W. Bush, 75%, Reagan 61%, Clinton 65%, George W. Bush 67%. And then ever since then, no president's got really above 44, which was Obama's the highest, tied with Biden. Trump had 41, but not as high as I think he was at 46. So, I mean, they keep saying how well Grady's doing. Well, no, dude, you're not even over 50%. You suck as a president if you can't get over 50%. I mean, it means you're not catering to the country. You're just catering to a piece of the country. It's all it really means. What are you going to do, And then I went and looked at what is it, 123 or 723, the polling company. They don't have him with all those high numbers. They're kind of like, where'd you get these numbers from? Where are these numbers coming from? I just don't understand why everything has to be challenged, why everything has to be a lie, why everything has to be fake. I was just seeing a poll saying on I think it was CNN, 57% of America wants the trials to go on. Really? Where'd you take that poll at? Because I just read a poll where not only is Trump growing in numbers, but he's growing so big in the GOP that they prefer him over the party itself, which is not good for the party. Right now, it's
It's actually
57% of the
Part
GOP.
Part
Yeah.
A.
Part K.
You know what it is. This list is bullshit because people are weird. As an investigator, as somebody who interviews people, when you ask them, I mean, it depends on how you approach it. They usually clam up or they usually shut down. They don't want to answer your questions, So when a Gallup poll or anything like that, they're going to think politically. They're not going to think of how their life is. But in January of 2020, 93% of people polled, thousands of people that were polled, said their life was great here in the U.S. They wouldn't change a thing. That to me is a high approval rating for Trump because he was the one who achieved that. Obama didn't achieve that. George Bush didn't achieve that. None of those guys. So there's a balance that Trump brought. But the only downfall to him were the Democrats and them attacking him all the time and non-stop being attacked. Didn't even know how the guy could function in all of that nonsense. I would have just shut it off. I mean, I'm a master of doing that now. Just shutting out the outside world and doing my business as normal, Trump likes to fight and get down in the trenches. He's a brawler, and they set him up. But you've got the worst possible people, and people can't trust people in their own government. They can't trust their own government, what they say. They represent us and they're a bunch of liars. So think about that. It's ugly.
Yeah, well, I mean, but also part of the thing is it not just that Trump was successful in getting the economy and things in a better position. He gave certain alleviations to the people who make less than everyone else. He didn't really help the poor people. When Democrats go in there, they like to take taxes away from the rich and tax the less rich. Well, Trump did the exact opposite. He didn't make any more alleviations for the rich. He didn't change their taxes. He didn't make them come down. He didn't make them go up. But he brought our taxes down a little bit. I think under his 4 years, I think it was like 32% you pay an income tax for those 4 years. And then as soon as Biden comes in, it's 38%. Under Obama, we were like up at sometimes 42% income tax paying out. So he helped the little guy. And that pissed off the Democrats. That's why they're going after him so hard, is that they lost their money base.
Fuel costs were lower. Food costs were lower.
All of it.
Under Trump.
By doing that, he pissed off the Democrats who don't like us to be efficient and, solvent, if you will.
Right. Democrats don't want you to have anything. That's really what it is. They don't want you to have anything. This is what I've seen in my time on this planet. And I'm not just saying that because I hate Democrats. I don't like any of it, I mean, they're not on our side at all, and they don't represent us. And, no matter what they say that they don't. Trump wasn't political, which is something I liked about it. He was a businessman, and he saw how the thing should be run, and he did a good job running it. He accomplished a lot of goals that other people could only dream about. But the Democrats don't want to serve you, like you said. They don't want to give you. They don't want you to be okay and safe and all that. They want you to be vulnerable. It's like being
them. Yeah.
Have you ever been in a terrible relationship with someone who wants you to be vulnerable? So you rely on them, or growing up, my mom was with my father. But he didn't live with us, thank God. But it made the whole situation made us vulnerable. And he could have helped out, but he didn't help out, and I mean, it's a long story, and there's a step grandfather in there too who, used to abuse us and do terrible stuff, and you call the police and they did nothing. It was the 70s, man. You know what I mean? They didn't give a crap. They would tell my mom just to, stay away or move out or whatever, but anyway, there are evil people that will take everything from you and make you vulnerable just so you rely on them. And meanwhile, they can fix everything, and they can be harmony and happiness and all that. But they would rather have it the other way. And they're out there. They're out there, and they're out there in our government. You know what? I recognize it. I see it because I lived it.
It's exactly like a toxic relationship. You're absolutely right about that.
When you deal with people like that, it's just something that comes around. It's an energy that comes around again, and then you're like, I know this feeling, you know. Yo, what's going on in Ukraine, man? Everybody talking about the Ukraine lately. I saw they had their Independence Day the other day.
Well, this article right here, this is a good one. This is Ukrainian MiGs firing American missiles are hunting down Russian air defense. They're actually going out. I got to give Lizginski, he's got balls the size of a freaking bowling ball at least, man. He's crazy. He's on the offensive. He's hunting down their missile defense systems. He's hunting anything down along the borders. He sounds like he's trying to launch maybe some deep missiles into Russia itself.
What's that up in your search bar, man? That Pornhub? Is that what I'm seeing?
Yeah. Don't you wish, baby? The only thing's up my search bar is StreamYard.com.
Nothing wrong with Pornhub, man. It's healthy. That's healthy. I'm focusing.
Let me tell you what, Pornhub would have to pay me money to go there.
Michael will tell you won't go blind watching Pornhub.
Now, no. If somebody wants me to watch porn, it's $21.99 a minute. That's what it costs me to go watch porn. I'd rather see the real thing since I live in New Orleans.
$21.99 a minute. Where are you shopping?
Yeah, go to Pornhub. It's free.
Yeah, no, it's not what I said. For me to watch it is $29.99 a minute. You missing the point there, man. Look, I'm from New Orleans, dude. You can see that shit free anywhere, and it's actually real. It's not on some screen. I'm just saying, guys. When you live in the right kind of cities, you don't.
New Orleans is a different place. That's for sure. You
can take your little kiddies down Bourbon Street and change their whole life after one little road trip down Bourbon.
Oh yeah.
It's just one, but I don't know, man. F-29 MiGs firing American missiles. What do you think they gave them? Sidewinders, things like that. I'm kind of curious to what kind of missiles they actually gave them. I've been kind of wondering about when I first seen that article.
Well, the bullshit missile. It baffles people with bullshit.
Whatever they gave them, it's good, but it's not the best stuff. But yeah, it's definitely better than what the Russians got.
So Putin is resorting to using Soviet-era tanks. They're pulling out of stocks because they've run out of all the newer stuff that they have. And then he also was pulling up more troops. They're at all-time loss. Troops are leaving, and not only that, they're posting videos on TikTok and all these other crap services and whatever the Russian troops are how things really are, and they don't even know why they're there. They're getting killed. Their commanders are getting killed. It's pure chaos. When you see Putin, you wouldn't read that on him. He thinks that either they're lying to him or whatever. I'm sure he knows what the deal is. I'm sure that he's just baffling people with crap. He himself, but. There's a nuclear plant that just got shut down, and they bombed it, and now it's on fire. So they're saying that thing is going to melt down. And
there were parts of it on fire. Yeah, they didn't actually bomb it. They're shelling around the outside of it, which isn't a good thing. Period.
Yeah, they hit it yesterday.
They hit the transmission lines and took it, and then it's unsure whether it was the Russians or the Ukrainians, because both. It's like a he said, she said. The Russians say it was them. The Ukrainians say it was them. But the transmission lines were cut, so the plant is no longer able to send electricity to Russia or Europe, and they absolutely perhaps, but they absolutely shut down all 6 reactors. But they were lucky enough to get some diesel generators to bring the power back online, so the thing didn't melt down. But if it happens again and again and again, eventually that place is going to explode, and it's going to be as large as the Fukushima explosion. Perhaps even bigger. And what happened is that the Russians aren't letting the Ukrainians operate it. So if they get out and let the Ukrainians go back in there and operate it safely, it can be operated safely without transmitting power anywhere. But it needs technicians. You take the technicians out of there, and it's eventually going to overheat and explode.
Well, the Russian soldiers have set up inside of there, so that's where they're firing.
There's video of several Russian troop transport trucks inside the facility.
Yeah, so they think that
video was taken.
They think that the Ukrainians won't shoot them in there because they don't want to destroy their own nuclear plant.
Yeah.
So that's the push and pull going on there right now. But at some point, you can see the way things are going.
They're using it as several things, as a base of operations, as a shield, and as a hostage.
It's going to hurt Russia.
If
that place goes where the radiation goes. I mean, think about it.
I would not be surprised because what they said today that at some point by the end of the year, Putin sensed has decided to send about 137,000 more troops to Ukraine. But if they start losing their hat again and they decide to pull out, who's to say that they won't sabotage that plant and have it actually explode before they, after they get away?
Well, that would pretty much be it for Russia, though. I mean, that would even make China get on their ass because China shares those trade wins. So does Europe. I mean, it would not be a good thing for Russia. The
Kim
world would
Jong
just
Un
get
pledged
pissed.
100,000 troops
They
What, to Russia or Ukraine?
to Russia for the
Oh.
Ukraine.
I guess
More troops
whoever.
that don't know how to fight. You know what I mean? Like these Ukrainians are becoming.
So he's going to send
good
50,000 to Russia and 50,000 to the Ukraine. Okay, well,
Yeah, that's not going to go over well.
Well, I know Taiwan said they're going to send 100,000 troops to the Ukraine along with equipment.
That's good.
See, I don't like even hearing that. That's just spreading the war. Look, let them come to a stalemate wherever they're going to come to stalemate. Keep dumping good weapons over there. Eventually, Russia will get, they'll have to either spend a lot more money or give it up. Because right now we're just slow. They're slowly but surely wiping out Russia's tanks. They've done how many brigades now going? I mean, if someone was to rush and invade Russia from the other side of the country, they'd be in trouble.
Yeah, I was reading about that earlier. What if we dropped a couple of Navy ships right off the Kola Peninsula there near St. Petersburg, which isn't very far from Moscow, and just said, "Hey, give it up, or we're going to launch missiles at you." Most of his troops are down in Ukraine. It would take them days to get up to defend the Kremlin.
And wait, we don't have to do that. We could just launch one there and one where his troops are, and he's now defenseless.
Mm-hmm.
It's never good. One thing World War II taught the Americans: it's never good to put all your eggs in one basket.
Yeah.
Because you can lose. And right now, it's not even that he's got all his troops there, but he's got a lot there, and he's got a lot built up not far away in case he needs them. But he's at his end. I mean, from what I heard from what one of the Soviets said, one of the Soviet writers said that he's now taking reservists.
Yeah.
So that's never a good sign. You got to start pulling your reserves.
They're taking people 13 years and older. I mean, it's a crisis.
Russia's only got 180 million people. And I think 100 million of them are like 55 or older, and then probably out of the 80 that's left, 40 million are probably kids.
They lost a lot of generals.
You just don't have, and a lot of those other people don't want to fight.
Well, we just gave Ukraine a whole bunch of more stuff, those razors and crazers and all the things that we made for them, plus these drones that can be launched from a pickup truck. It's called what the hell is it? Switchblade, something like that. It can be launched from a pickup truck. These large drones that go very far, and they carry a nice payload. So,
well, I saw a story the other day. There's some guy in Ukraine who he had his own business where he made recreational drones for civilians. He's now repairing the military drones, and he's making them somewhat autonomous so that you can. It's like a fire and forget weapon. You can launch it, program a mission into it to either go over and photograph for intelligence, or some of the more advanced ones to bring weapons, and they fly on their own. They're not in contact with anyone. They're not flying by wire. They're not flying by radio controlled contact, so they can't be traced back to the user. So whoever launches it can go, let's take a picture over there. Oh, there's some Russian troops. Then they send the other drone. Let's drop a bomb on them, and they can't find where the drones are coming from. So that seems like this is the theater for that kind of warfare. Right. Period.
It's a mess, and winter's coming. That would just change that whole theater.
No, there's the affidavit from Mar-a-Lago, pretty redacted.
Yeah, and it's a lot more redaction. Most of this is BS here.
Yeah. It's all legal mumbo jumbo that none of us can understand anyway.
Yeah, and
you're a lawyer.
More of it. All the important stuff is redacted.
Yeah, all the stuff
more of it.
I mean, this is like what it's like reading.
See, and what really confuses me, and I think this is what's going to end up helping Trump in the long run, because I know all of his enemies think he's done. I'm confused. So the FBI was there a year ago. First off, he made a request for these 15 boxes from the people. Biden told the woman, "It's up to you." She sent them to Trump. So all of a sudden, because the FBI came looking for her, she decided that she removed where he could keep them, which, by the way, was illegal the way this was done. So then the FBI went and got him, but the FBI was there a couple of months earlier to look at the stuff and said, "No, everything's fine. Just put padlocks on it." what happened here is the DOJ, they thought Nancy Pelosi and Schiff and them thought, okay, the DOJ, Jan 6, we got Trump. But no one could ever get anything on Trump. No one would say that Trump did anything or said anything. You can't find anywhere where he told someone, wrote something, or got on television or Twitter or anywhere and said, go riot. There's just none of that anywhere to be seen. Even Pence said he's never told me that. So, I mean, so they were done. There was nothing coming out to go after Trump with. The DOJ knew it, so they needed something else. So this is just mysterious bullshit because they've been knowing those boxes are there. They actually gave them to Trump in the beginning. So what's going on here? So you give them the things, then all of a sudden, oh, well, we went to FBI to go look. So, oh, you can't have them now. Well, that's just not even going to play out in any real court. I mean, any good lawyer will eat that for lunch. I think that the Democrats may be in a little bit more trouble. Even if they can find someone Trump, I still think they're going to be in more trouble because I think the way this was handled might get it all tossed. A good lawyer can get it tossed. And it's going to be a hard thing trying to find a venue because now they're already challenging the judge who allowed this because this guy openly hated Trump. He said it more than one time. Trump was a piece of crap. Trump was garbage. Trump was this. Trump was that. So he said never even been allowed to issue the affidavit. That's plain and simple. And lawyers are already scoffing about that. So if that goes up to the Supreme Court, they're going to toss that. Matter of fact, a good chunk of this will end up at the Supreme Court, and they're going to toss it because it's a 6-3 court.
It's the same stuff that's been going on for forever with Trump. You know, of this government. You know, these people weaponizing things, using it to go after him. This is just the latest edition, and now there's no solid evidence, nothing of why they would be so brash to bust in his place. You know, the FBI
and have the raid on this. This is ridiculous. How can
so
can't even defend himself?
This is a former president, for God's sake.
And it should have been done. And everybody's saying the same thing. And this is something that they're having a hard time with. It should have been done quietly. And wait, the DOJ said that. Oh, well, this kind of stuff should have be handled quietly. Well, then why'd you do it like this?
Why didn't they do it right away?
Then, why didn't they wait till after November?
Of course.
Because anyway this goes, this is politically motivated. He can't say it's not. And any good lawyer is going to take the DOJ to court. He's going to say, no, this is politically motivated. This is what
this has motivated his base. This has motivated him. So, I mean, maybe they wanted that. Maybe they did. You know, maybe they want to goose people and get them out there. Maybe they want him in. You know, they raised more money than ever under Trump. The Democrats did. You know, I mean, people wanted them out, so they donate.
And when you look at this kind of stuff, because I read everything else, there's nothing in there they can convict him on, so I don't even know what that's about. All this other redacted stuff is just, okay, we got to make something up. So we'll just do this until we can find something to make up on Trump.
You know what's funny?
About. I don't even like Trump, and it's just ridiculous.
I look at Biden and his family as criminals. These are career political criminals. I've seen them all my life. You know, I look at Trump as a guy who was a billionaire who didn't have anything to gain financially, especially. He lost money by being the president, you know, because of their sabotage and what, you know, the things they've said about him. And they manufactured evidence against him. I mean, if you were to write this out and look at it with a reasonable mind for justice, I mean, here's a political body that manufactured evidence against the person who was running for the presidential office to make it, you know, to sabotage them and make it so they didn't run. I mean, like that's crazy to put it on that level. You manufactured evidence. You think all those are felonies, felony. We're all the people going to jail.
And that's the thing. So any court's going to be like, okay, look, guys, you know, the FBI investigated Trump for 3 years on the FBI stuff. Couldn't find anything. Remember, everybody's been over his taxes. New York's trying to get him on something, but they can't get him on anything. The problem is there's really not that much there. And this is supposed to be documents he took. Well, I've heard at least 25 lawyers now say that he can declassify anything he wants. So I'm not even sure they're going to get him on that. You know, unless they got him selling information to somebody, and they don't, because remember, they already proved that the thing with Russia was a hoax, and we still haven't had any reason. Nobody in the FBI has been to jail for going after illegal FISA warrants. No judge is going to jail for issuing illegal FISA warrants. I mean, there's just so much corruption here that needs to be dealt with, and now we're seeing the same thing again. So how do you expect America to trust the FBI and the DOJ after what happened for 3 years with the DOJ and the FBI. Well, not the DOJ, but the
To say
FBI.
Trump is unpatriotic is a joke. He's one of the most patriotic people I've seen. And it's not just because he was president or whatever. I've listened to this guy, and I don't like him, by the way. So I'm saying nice stuff about him, but I've listened to him be interviewed in the past.
It's Jay's stepdaddy, so we got to be nice, but still.
You can go back to the Larry King interview with him, and he understands the government. He was angry about the way things were going. He thought he could make a difference. I mean, so it's not so. I mean, but they don't respect that. The Democrats, they don't want the like you remember the whole they don't want the flag. In their convention, they didn't have the American flag, or they tried to downplay it, or they did stars on one screen and stripes on another. Anything to disconnect themselves with this country, which is crazy because they're running for office, within this country to represent people. But at the same time, they got to hate themselves.
Taylor, what are you on about?
It's all political maneuvering. It's like it's not the first time they've attempted to, take credit away from Donald Trump. When the very opening things when he started the run for president, they made him bring forth documents you do not need to present to be president. You do not have to show.
No other president's ever been asked for those
run
documents.
For president. It just never has been a thing. They made him release those papers.
We still ain't proved if Obama's a real American
by having business bankrupt. He did all that legally. He saved several businesses from just being collapsed by bankrupting them, and with some of that bankrupt money that he got, he paid his workers off. So people say he's a bad guy because he had 11 businesses he allowed to go bankrupt. He didn't just allow them to go bankrupt. He maneuvered them into bankruptcy after they were starting to fail.
Before COVID.
And way before COVID. I'm talking
economy, I'm saying before COVID, the economy was strong under Trump. Yeah. Within 5 months, he had destroyed ISIS. They were done for. They flourished under Obama, and Obama downplayed them as the JV team. Obviously, they weren't. But think of the good that came out of it, and the stuff that Trump did in that short amount of time. Economy's booming, everybody's doing all right. Boom! Here comes COVID in 2020. Right, just there at the end, just there, and then he acted fast. He got the vaccines done, the warp speed, and all the other stuff. But there was a lot of political crap going back and forth, and then they used it against him. They used COVID against him, calling him he's xenophobic for calling it the China virus, and basically whatever he said they didn't like. He could have cured cancer.
Yeah,
they would have been against it. What about the Cancer Institute? They're not going to make money anymore. Like that's the way they justify it. You know what it is? It's the defiance syndrome. If you look up defiance syndrome, a lot of these hardcore liberals have it, and they suffer from it. And whatever you say to them, they need to say the opposite. They need to come against you. But they can get together all together. We want to support Black people. We want to support Latino people. Whatever. But Dave Chappelle, who's a successful Black man in the United States of America, has a couple of jokes about gay and trans and whatever, just like everybody else did. They canceled him, tried going after him, made his life a living hell, walking out on him and all this other stuff. So think about the mentality. They don't care. As long as you agree with them and their agenda, they don't care what you are. You could be the worst criminal in the world. You could be the Hunter Bidens. You could be the lowest type of person. You could be a child molester. They call child molesters a lifestyle choice. This is the mentality of this group of people, and they're not to be taken seriously, but they are, and they've been weaponized against people just like all this other stuff, man, like the FBI, and man, they used to be such a trusted organization, and so is the CIA and all these other agencies. If you can't have trust in your government, what do you have?
So, question for y'all, and y'all probably know the answer to this, but still a question for y'all. Which president, which president had more COVID deaths, Trump or Biden?
I'll say Biden did.
What do you think, Michael?
Biden had the longer stretch.
He's been tested at least 3 times.
He's had double the amount of deaths than Trump did. So
yeah,
Trump had 387. We broke 1 million just recently. So we'll say Trump had 400,000. I think we're at 1.1 or 1.2 now. So I mean, Biden, even though he's at 18 months and Trump was only about a year into it, so there's about 8 months difference. But still,
COVID's
It
out
hasn't.
there.
It's just different. Well, yesterday. So just wait. We ain't talking about that anyway. We'll leave that alone for another show when we're not on YouTube, because we'll get tossed. Chasing Prophecy got tossed yesterday. Got international its second strike, or its third strike actually. So because they were talking about the COVID word, and YouTube is just a freak about it. I mean, they just won't let it go. And there's just other stuff. So when one night we'll do a show, we just won't put it on YouTube. We'll take it off of YouTube. And
corporate control. They don't want anybody talking about it. They
that takes us right back to the.
About.
Well, that takes us right back to the opening story where the FBI told Mark Zuckerberg, "Don't talk about Hunter Biden." I mean, how in the hell? Why? Whoever said that? I'm still understanding why that person's not in jail. I don't get
it. Free speech. Free speech.
I mean, you just told someone stifle free speech, and you told someone to lie, basically about someone who's under investigation. No, man, that's not right. I mean, as citizens, so it doesn't matter if Facebook is private there or not. As citizens, we have the right to know if someone's committed felonies in our country, and he was. I don't get
those laws are on the books for a reason, and those laws don't apply themselves to any level. No one's above the law, but unfortunately, they are.
But on the same token, those rights and privileges in the Constitution, they don't lend themselves to institutions or organizations, especially government organizations like the FBI.
Yeah. So on a lighter note, because I heard y'all talking about this when I came in, for you marijuana smokers out there's a lot of stuff going on, a lot of rules you got to watch out for. So my first piece of advice for anybody who smokes marijuana, especially if you live in a state where you can get medical or recreational. So you're driving along, you see this beautiful park, you pull in, I'm going to smoke a joint, no big deal. Game warden comes up, handcuffs you and takes you. Yeah, you're like, no, it's legal. No, on federal property, it is not legal. You cannot smoke weed in Yellowstone Park. There's lots of parks in this country, even if you're in a state where it's legal, you cannot smoke in that park. They will take you to jail.
If it's a federal park, county or state park, you might be okay.
Yeah, you're fine. If you're in a county park or anything like that, you're fine. But if you're in a federal park, remember, in the federal government, it is still a Scheduled I drug. Man, 5 joints can get you 15 years, so you better be careful. Mm-hmm. Just don't go in national parks. I already know 3 or 4 people that's been arrested. That's why we brought it up. One guy got 2 years for 3 joints. He ended up with doing 10 months.
There are murderers who don't do 2 years.
That's what I'm saying. So just be careful, people, because the Fed still ain't got over this. Because you got to wonder. I hear the Democrats all the time, yeah, let's get high, man. Yeah, come on, let's smoke some Mara Jane. I'm like, what's a Mara Jane? But anyway, let's smoke something. But still, they've had enough votes in the House and the Senate to pass it. More than one time. Under Obama, they did. Remember when we were doing Obamacare, where they had the votes then, but they didn't. Republicans are not going to be the one that they might, if it goes on another 5 or 8 years, Republicans might be the ones. But right now, because Republicans are actually the younger of the 2 parties, Michael, tell that girl go home, man, or put that doll up, whatever's going on there, just cut that shit out. Sound like one of them sucky dolls to me, buddy. Y'all want me to mute? I can mute his ass, people. Y'all want me to mute? I have strategic control.
You gotta hit that bong. My doctor said that's the healthiest way to smoke marijuana. Smoke a bong.
We do not promote hitting bongs here, people. Just telling you.
Water pipe.
It's a water filtration system, Michael.
Yes. It's
the bong.
But the reason we were talking about this is I heard these 2 guys saying something about if you get marijuana, you can't have a gun. I'm like, what the hell is that? Bullshit. What state is that?
That's New York. In Pennsylvania, if you have the medical marijuana card and you want to go buy a gun, you legally can't. But same thing, on the same token, if you have the medical marijuana card and you go to the gun store to purchase a gun, they don't ask you if you have the card because they don't have to.
But you're violating the law. In New York State, same thing. If you get medical marijuana, or even if you're on SSI at all, you're not allowed to own guns. They're all there is.
Well, I'd already sued the crap out of it.
I don't see how they can stop you from owning a gun if you already got it, but you
legally I don't even say
people are going to do it, and they're in violation of the law. So if something ever happens and a cop comes in and there's a gun in your house and they realize you're not allowed to own a gun, they charge you. It's another charge.
Yeah, well, that's because Jane and Joe didn't go out there and sue, because that's not going to hold up any court. They're going to kick it out. They're going to toss it out. That's discrimination, because that's like saying, oh, well, I'm taking Percocets, I can't carry my gun. No, you can't tell me because I have a prescription that I can't carry a gun. It's illegal in this country on a federal level, not on a state level. And federal law always supersedes state law. So I don't know why they haven't even challenged it yet. It's just an easy kick out. The Supreme Court will kick it out, no problem. They just kicked out 2 out of Texas with some bullshit laws. They just kicked out. They're like, no, you can't do that.
I see Beto gaining ground in Texas, man. He's Mr. Anti-Gun. Right?
Yeah, not enough to win anything, unless something drastic changes. He's doing pretty good. I mean, what's his name? Abbott's doing pretty good. They're really happy with Abbott. You know what's going to get Abbott to cross the finish line? Y'all want to know what it is? Throwing the immigrants out of his state. Even the people in Austin, the liberals are happy. Because the liberals were talking about they needed to get law enforcement or National Guard to Austin. He started throwing them out and sending them to D.C. and New York.
Yep,
And not just him. There's a couple other states that have done it too as well. So they're like, no. A bunch of them sent them to Biden's old hometown. Just dropped off like 10 busloads. I think 400 of them.
Delaware?
Yeah, maybe Delaware, New Hampshire, somewhere up there in the East
Wilmington,
Coast.
Delaware.
Is that where he is? Yeah.
Yeah.
So people, I'm not hating on Delaware's. I got some friends from up
It's a
there.
beautiful
so
state. No tax.
I can't help it. You had a moron that came from your state. It's now because of that moron, you got a bunch of people that you don't want there. So deal with it. What you're seeing more and more of that. DeSantis said, somebody asked DeSantis, why aren't you throwing out the Cubans? He said, because we want the Cubans. He's like, they're part of our state, man. What are you talking about? They've been here for a long time, man. They ain't even Cubans no more. They just Spanish speaking American.
Man, plus, look at it like this: Mexicans and people in South America, all they have to do is cross an imaginary border on land. Cubans, they want to come here, they got to swim 90 miles in the deep ocean.
And shark water. There's some reefs along there, man. You got to be careful.
Shark infested water. They got to swim 90 miles in shark infested waters to get here. So if they get here, it should be an automatic pass. Hey, you win. Why don't you join our Olympic team?
Okay, Kimberly, you're splitting here. 75, 90. It's not that. It's only 15 miles different. And yeah, you're right. If you're on this end, it's 90. If you're on this end, it's 75. But if you're on this end and it's 75, you got to cross a reef. I'm not swimming over the top of a reef. Come on. Not just sharks alone. If you get hung up on it, man,
waters, whether it's 75 miles or 90, you're not walking across an imaginary border in the desert.
So I wouldn't worry about it, people. If you don't have a boat, I'd just leave it alone. I got a lot of friends that keep boats parked in Key West. I wish I had that kind of money. But they talk about it all the time. Sometimes a boat will just wash up with 30, 40 people on it. The Niagara comes out and gets them and takes them off. But the Florida Indians are a lot like that. They bring them, incorporate them into their society. I mean, if you go to Miami, that's probably 40% Spanish, maybe 45%. So I mean, it's Little Havana is what it is, and it's they like it like that. And for some reason, the other people who live there don't mind. So
I hear that you're not supposed to wait for red lights there. The police tell you, and there's like 3 exits not to take driving through there. So yes, I agree. Yes,
they love it. Florida loves them. They love them. What Florida really don't like is the snowbirds. It gets on their nerves. They don't mind tourists coming down from all over the country, not even from up north. But the snowbirds have no idea what they're talking about when they come down to the south. They're talking about all this stuff. They get down here. They don't know how to act. First off, it's even in the summer. I mean, even in the fall, you can wear shorts down here. Okay, it's up until Christmas. A lot of times you can wear short pants, especially if you live
until January.
Yeah, well, if you're living in like down around Miami, you can wear them all year round. I mean, it never gets below like 75 down there. So, I mean, it's just
Savannah, Georgia's the same way. You can wear shorts all the way through December, almost into January.
Yeah, I can't tell you how many Christmases it was hot outside.
Yeah.
You're like, oh my God, it's 85 degrees outside. It's Christmas time. Come on. Put a damper on Christmas. No snow, no rain, no just big sunny days. You're sweating. I guess if you're a kid, it's cool because you got to play with your toys. But still, for adults, it's not as cool. You might want to see a little snow out there or something.
So, but you know what? If you're from the north, we have this preconceived notion of what the South is. And
of course,
and
y'all do. Everybody does. Y'all wish y'all were right. Y'all have not a clue. I can tell.
You go down south, and you got to be careful. You don't want to be pro-Hillary or anti-NASCAR. There's things that you just don't want to be
that's
part
not true.
of.
Because in the
so
South,
you won't get pelted by
else,
rocks.
Atlanta's a liberal city. Miami's a liberal city.
Well, Atlanta's chocolate
that,
city. You don't want to
Houston
go
and
there
Austin
either.
are
I hear they
liberal
got a
cities.
crime problem.
No, there's several big cities. New Orleans is a liberal city, so I mean you're safe down here with the kind of stuff. It's just
Atlanta's not that dangerous of a city. It's big, but it's not that dangerous.
yeah. I mean,
I'm not talking about Atlanta. I'm not talking about any large cities.
The South is now considered to be the least discriminated of any part of the country.
I'm talking about
even California discriminates more.
You're talking about cities. I'm talking about the in between.
No, I'm talking about everywhere.
The people in between.
I'm talking about
There's
everywhere.
a lot of that.
Nah, not so much anymore because like Louisiana has a bunch of mid-sized cities all over the place. So the places in between aren't really in between.
I want you to spray
anymore.
paint NASCAR sucks and I love Hillary Clinton and I'm a gay rider.
You'll see that all the time. You'll see people ride
driving a pickup truck from the south to north Alabama.
You can drive
from south to north. I want
and yeah, nobody's gonna bother you. You can drive all over.
My God.
You'll be driving, especially man. Look, you'll be driving all over saying, "I love Biden. I want Biden." They don't care about that because it's different. South aren't angry like the North and the West Coast.
If you come against NASCAR, they will attack.
No, they don't care about NASCAR. They don't because a lot of people down here don't watch NASCAR. I don't watch NASCAR. No, a lot of people don't watch NASCAR down here. It's not.
But I don't pluck you as a typical Southerner. You're different.
I'm a typical.
You're a Montaldo.
I'm a typical coon ass man. I'm typical coon ass.
I'll bet you.
I was just telling somebody last night that Bigfoot. We barbecued a Bigfoot up.
Hey Joe, you want to take a bet? I bet you Michael can't tell us what NASCAR even stands for.
I don't know what NASCAR stands for. Don't
I
ask me.
I'll bet you Michael doesn't know what it stands for.
It's two of my best friends. One was from Idaho. One was from Kansas. They were huge NASCAR fans. And that's really true. The Heartland in Chicago and Illinois, place in Indiana, they're big NASCAR fans. South not as big. South's into other stuff, man.
I used to like racing.
Yeah, you know what it is? I'm gonna tell you what it is. I'm gonna tell you why the South is not full of hate. And there's 3 reasons why. 1, we have the best food anywhere in the country. 2, we have the northern part of the South, which is just beautiful vistas and mountains and chalets and snow. And then we have the Gulf Coast and the Atlantic Coast. It's just a beautiful place to live. The food's good. The people are nice. Stuff is cheap. It makes people happy. Up north, it's not like that. People are vicious and mean and always stepping over each other. I mean, we still hold the door open for people down here, man.
I hold the door open for people too.
But you have actually have respect. You're not average. But then I go out West Coast people, I'm sorry to say this, LA
They're
people,
crazy.
but y'all are far more ruder than New York people. I know a lot of people from New York, and frankly, they are not near as rude as y'all are. You piss them off, they are, but if you just chat, they're not like that. People in LA they need to act like you don't even exist. They're like, where are you from? Well, I never even heard of that place. Really? You never heard of New Orleans? Well, what fairyland are you living in? I mean, it's just ridiculous how they treat people out there. The traffic's ridiculous. And everything. It's so beautiful and the weather's so temperate. I said, yeah, you would think people would be happier here, but everybody's miserable. They do live in a beautiful place. It may fall off into the ocean, but still, it's beautiful there.
But if you look at it, the taxes are way up. The cost of living is way up. That's why they're miserable. And you're exactly right about how the shift is from the bottom of the country to the top. George Carlin even talked about it. I've driven up and down from Maryland to Connecticut to Florida, up and down for my whole life, 40, 50 years, especially when I go into college. I was driving to Savannah all the time in between semesters. You start at a toll booth down in like Florida, and they're like, "Hi, how you doing today? 25 cents." Boom, they send you on your way. Nice, happy smile. And then you get up a little bit further north, like 25 cents. And then you get to New Jersey, it's like 25 cents. Get out of the way. They get ruder and ruder as you go up the highway.
It's just changing. I mean, unfortunately, most of the West Coast and northern people still think of the South like from 60 years ago, but that's not what it is. They're very advanced. I mean, we got Bayou Silicon down here now. We got the second largest gaming company in the world down here. It's just that we've got almost all the top secret stuff that's being built in our country is built in the South. And you want to know why? Because they're considered Alabama, by the way, in case y'all didn't know this, Alabama is considered the most trusted citizens anywhere in the nation fourfold. That's why Lockheed Martin and a bunch of the other companies have have facilities there because they don't worry about trading their secrets out. California, by the way, placed last. And in California, it's an average of every 10 people that work for them, somebody reveals a secret. They were dead last. New York actually placed, I think, 25th. So they weren't in a horrible place.
California is number 1 place not to live. I just read that.
It is. Actually, New York's actually been coming up since the Disastero or de Blasio, whatever you want to call him, left.
New York wasn't the best or worst.
New York's moved up the ladder. It's always in the middle lately. It used to not be. It was always number one in everything, but now it's down in the middle. And places like Louisiana, if you go to New Orleans, it ranks way high, like in the top 5 cities, and sometimes it's number one. If you go to the state, it's always like 44th, 45th, 46th. Mississippi's like 48th, 49th, 50th.
But people are moving out of California. They're moving to places like Arizona, Texas, Nevada, and Colorado, and they're changing it politically because so many are going. You know.
Yeah, but it's funny because a lot of them, they were talking about this in Austin. So Austin was expecting a much stronger liberal movement coming to LA, but that's not what's going on. They were talking about, the mayor was talking about this. He's a little worried because a lot of the people moving from LA and places like that are going to independents. They're not Democrats anymore. They've left the party. And we already know 3 million people left the party already this year. That's a lot of people for a political party. That means another 3 or 4 million aren't going to vote at all. I don't know. They're in trouble. And then you're seeing a big shift in Hispanic and Black voters towards the middle or towards the right. And I can understand. I never understood why Blacks ever voted Democrats. One, I mean, just knowing what the Democrats did to them. I mean, first off, they were against freeing the Blacks. You know, they were anti-freedom. They did the KKK, and they did the Jim Crow laws. That's all on them. And really, when you ask a Black person, what has the Democrat done for you in the last 30 years, they can't answer because they haven't done anything. Trump came in and did a lot. I mean, he brought unemployment down to the lowest it's ever been in Black or Hispanic history and kept it there the whole time he was there.
Black neighborhoods are the most dangerous places in the United States of America.
They
blame the police, but the police are obviously not the problem. The biggest problem is that they don't address the problems. Even Spike Lee in his movies, if you notice, and I just talked about this on my show recently, that the movie Do the Right Thing is supposed to take place in Bed-Stuy in 1989. It was a criminal armpit, Bed-Stuy. It still is, you know. I mean, a guy just got, a McDonald's employee just got killed because he served someone cold fries. You know, they shot him to death. So Bed-Stuy is still horrible, right? But in the movie, it portrays the police as being evil and a guy who owns a pizza parlor on the corner as being evil. And then there was no crime. There was no black on black crime, no drugs, no bodies found in that movie, nothing. So think about that. Now, contrast that with Ice Cube in the movie Friday, which is a comedy. But in that movie, it showed the shootings, the thugs, the drugs, all the stuff, the ills of those neighborhoods. This is very real, but these are under Democrat control. All these years under Democrat control. So why is it like the way it is? And they say, well, because white neighborhoods have more money for the police. It's not true. It's the opposite.
That's not true. It's the opposite.
They need less police in those neighborhoods because there's less crime.
Well, no, I'm waiting. Stop for a minute.
The police are concentrated where the crime is.
Yeah. And I'm glad Michael brought that up because this is a true point. So I live in a tourist neighborhood. It's a very wealthy neighborhood. Not me. I'm poor. I got my house isn't near as worth as these big mansions.
We know you're rolling and you.
And I wish, but if I was rolling, I'd already been up to visit you. But
rolling.
Oh, but speaking of that, sometime before the end of the year, we'll be up in New York, up in Buffalo, actually. So yeah, I know. Hopefully,
when are you going?
It starts, I don't know. I'm waiting. Well, I'm waiting on a passport. Once I find out about my passport.
Is that for the award?
No. That is for Buffalo. No. We're doing a documentary, so I'm going up to Buffalo, and the guy who does the documentary, he teaches them at Buffalo State. We're going to do it there, and then I'm going across the border to hypnotize somebody. I'm going up to Michelle's new house to hypnotize someone for the documentary. We've already done part 1 of it over the internet.
She might take you hostage, man. You better be careful, Joe. You got to go with some kind of compliment. You know that whooping stick's pretty powerful.
You know the one I'm scared of is Amelia. I'm not worried about Michelle. I'm scared about that Amelia girl. Oh my God.
Amelia's gonna meet me in Buffalo to play bocce and have pizza.
I might gain 10 pounds being around her, man. Jesus. But anyway, getting back, I lost my whole train of thought. I gotta drink some coffee.
Well, I'll come hang out with you in Buffalo. It's only a little ways away.
Yeah, that's what I said. We can hang out. We're gonna get a couple drinks, get something to eat.
The 11th most dangerous place in the U.S.
Yeah, I know. But you know, we have a big audience up in Buffalo, man. We're well liked up there for some reason. And there's a guy up there who every now and then he was playing us for 4 years. No, I'm sorry, for 7 years he played us on his radio station, his FM up there. Now he flip flops us with some other genre they're doing up there, which is cool too. So. I mean, but you know, we got a nice audience up there. They really like it.
But why is Buffalo so dangerous, Joe? Why?
Well, let's ask this. When is it dangerous? It ain't dangerous in the wintertime. It's 11 foot of snow, man.
I'm
That's
saying why
dangerous.
these cities are dangerous places, but
Because
there's
they're
a
liberal
reason
cities.
why.
That's why they're
And,
dangerous.
and yeah, but there's more of a reason why that never gets addressed. Because if you do, you get called all kinds of names, and that's really, you get things attached to you, and then they attack you. You're racist. You're a terrible person for saying these whatever. You need to address the real problems and go to the root of the problems if you're going to help anybody out. That's all. Far Rockaway and East New York, Brownsville projects where gunfire is constant. Kids have to walk over dead bodies, even sometimes needles in the streets, all these things. These are things that children shouldn't have to grow up with or even be subjected to. But these are Black and Latino neighborhoods where this stuff is common, but not in the other neighborhoods. Why is it like that? There's got to be a reason why. There's always a reason why.
Well, there is always a reason why, but then you got to find it out why. But usually, I'm telling you, most of the time it has something to do with the liberals. They really just don't seem to care. I mean, look at their cities, and I say this all the time. People tell me how great they are. I was like, really? I said, where do you live? And they never, anybody who says they're so great never lives in a place like New York City or in Chicago or in LA or in New Orleans. They just, they're like, oh, once they get there, yeah, if you're a crazy liberal, yeah, you'll say, yeah. But most of my friends who are liberals that live in those cities are like, no, they're not really a great city anymore. And when you ask them why, they're like, oh, they'll blame this, they'll blame that. So you can't blame Trump for New York. I said, New York was all blue. You can't blame Trump for that. Now you can blame Trump for going 46% red in the last election. That was freaky. That was just freaky. So you're seeing a lot of red people move around the country too.
I'll tell you about the lies of New York, right? When I was an entertainment writer, early 90s, I used to go to clubs all over the place in the city, reviewing bands and that type of stuff. And then I went to a place called Lismar Lounge. It was actually a band that I knew who was playing. It's a Hells Angels hangout. I didn't know that, right? They're the chapter right on 3rd Street. This was on 1st, between 2nd and 3rd. So, I'm outside smoking a cigarette. I used to smoke cigarettes in those days. Hanging out with this biker dude who's got this aluminum briefcase, all kind of with sunglasses on at night, 2:00 in the morning. I love it, right?
Yeah, I like wearing my sunglasses at night, man.
We're sitting there talking politics, of course, and then and he said, "This is the safest block in New York City." I'm like, "Yeah." And he's like, "You know what? All these elderly people want to live here because they know the Hells Angels are here, and no one will ever mess with them because of us." And it just hits you hard, like, wow. Here are police cars rolling by as we're standing there talking, but the safety of the block was represented by a notorious motorcycle gang, and that's the same for a lot of places. If there's a drug block, they don't want the drug dealers who sell drugs don't want you robbed. They want you to buy their drugs and get robbed after. If you get robbed, you're not going to come back even. Right. So there's a criminal element that needs to control, just like the mafia did. But the government doesn't work in the world of security, do they? They don't care if you're safe. They don't care who runs the streets. They don't care what gangs or what illegal guns are out there. They care about statistics, and they use those statistics. So, man, I've been in some of those ghettos, and they're scary places. And I knew a guy that had 2 buckets of handguns he was happy to sell for $25 or $50. That's the reality of New York, not the bubble that they paint. They pump up anyway. Speaking of bubble, there's a housing bubble that's about to collapse. If you guys,
that's what I keep hearing. That's what I keep hearing. We'll have to see. It doesn't seem like it's going on down here. It looks like they're just still building like crazy down here.
Yeah,
materials aren't really. How are the material prices?
They're still high. They're not as high as they were.
They've come down, but not a lot.
About 10% they've come down, really. But they're still way up there.
Wood has come down, nails and screws have come down, but in my department, which is electrical wire is still at least double in price what it was 6 months ago.
Oh, yeah.
PVC conduit, and I don't know what it is in our plumbing department, but buying PVC gray conduit was $1.56 6 months ago. That's for a 1/2-inch, 10-foot stick. It's now $8.38, almost 4 times its original price, over $10 with tax. It's disgusting.
It is. And you see that all over. On a lot of things. Now, I have seen what's weird down here. So, and this is another good thing about living in a deep south. Our ground meat is down to $1.99 a pound. So you can get right now, if you want to go get ribeye, now you get about a whole ribeye, it's only $6.99 a pound.
Well, right now,
choice ribeye. You
This is
can
what's
get
going
choice
on.
filet for $9.99 a
There-
pound. I mean,
There's
that's
a
good.
dip in pricing because of this. One, because of the fuel prices, people stopped buying high-end meat for a short time. Now they're starting to buy it as the prices are coming down. Number two, all these people out there who have these animals, the breeders, are bringing their livestock and their breeding stock in for slaughter. So they're flooding the market because they can't afford the costs of operation. They
Yeah,
can't
see,
afford the
it's a little,
fertilizer. They can't afford the feed. They can't afford these things.
it's a little different
So
down here though, because we're set up differently than most of the South is set up.
I'm talking about the whole U.S., not just up here, down there, nothing.
Yeah, well, because we
by
ship out a lot
Christmas-
of beef.
$5 a pound.
By
so it's
Christmas,
not
you're
come
gonna-
down at all.
You'll see the impact by Christmas, and by next year, the prices will be double what they are now, maybe triple.
Texas and Louisiana and a lot of Southern states put out a lot of beef. We send out a lot of beef to around the country.
Hey, you guys will be okay. We'll get screwed.
Oh
up.
yeah, no, we'll be okay. We've been okay. We've been much better than everybody else when it comes to like eggs and vegetables and beef. Most normal food is up probably about 15% down here, but everybody else is telling me it's up 50, 60, 70%. I mean, it's crazy. I mean, I know people, there was one time we were paying $9.99 a pound for ground meat. I was like, that's insane. There's not even nothing to justify with. And then some of the southern governors are like, well, wait, no, because fuel cost isn't that high down here. One, fuel's cheaper, and two, they're not traveling as far. So the governors got involved, and all of a sudden they dropped a lot.
Liberals want you to eat bugs, man. They put that out there.
So
You got
I told one of my
these
liberal
bug-
friends that the
bug
other
powder.
day. Now he's a politician. He said, well, yeah, high in protein. I said, dude, when you start eating bugs, daily meals, come see me, and I'll think about it. And he looked at me. I'm like, dude, I'm not eating bugs if you aren't. I mean, liberals. I said, well, how stupid are you liberals? Oh, let's go eat bugs. Well, none of y'all. I mean, you tell Nancy Pelosi to eat bugs. What are you gonna do? You're gonna see her in the restaurant eating a filet mignon. She ain't gonna eat no freaking bugs.
I can tell you from experience. When I was a kid, at one of my aunts' Thanksgiving parties, they had chocolate covered ants, which didn't suck, and they had chocolate covered grasshopper.
I've eaten them too.
Chocolate covered grasshopper is not good. I don't care what you dip it in.
Because they're crunchy.
And
they ooze. They squirt when you bite into them.
It's all gel. It's all goo, and it's
that's what I said. When you bite into them, they go squish. Squish. Now there was a guy who would inject liquid chocolate into them, and then coat them, and then eat it. They weren't bad. I mean, they weren't horrible.
I think these people need to be locked up in an insane asylum, man, doing stuff like that. You know what I mean? There's plenty of food out there where you don't have to worry about
actually, dude,
bugs.
chocolate covered ants just are like eating raisins. I mean, really, that's what they're like.
No, it's like liquid Rice Krispies.
It's not.
The
It's
crunchy
not.
bar with the Rice
It's not
Krispies.
like
It's like Rice
because
Krispies.
you're eating ants. It's not like
Well, now you can get an ant chocolate bar with
tastes
THC
like
in it.
chicken.
So it won't matter what you eat. By the time you finish with a damn candy bar, you be like, "Ooh, I gotta bring this up real quick." So I know a couple of my friends who do edibles, idiots. So
You
they
gotta be
get edibles.
careful
So they
with
eat like half a cookie, and they're like 45 minutes goes by, and they ain't got no buzz. And he's like, "Oh,
How much THC is in one of those
those.
things?
a lot." So he eats the other half. He starts getting the buzz. He's like, "Well, that's pretty good buzz." So let me eat another half. So by the time the third half, it's like doing LSD, man. He's like, I'm so kidding you, man. So the new pot, when you eat edibles, it is close to an LSD high. So I want anybody out there who's doing it to know that if you eat too much of it, it will be like an LSD high. It won't
Well,
be like that.
it processes through your liver. It's different than smoking it, and it
And
lasts
besides
much
that,
longer.
It hits
so
you.
there's-
It takes longer to hit you.
Yeah, well, there's lots of ways to do pot these days, but the food is not the same as smoking. It's not the same kind of
No,
high.
it's different.
It's a different kind of high, and a lot of states now are starting to frown on it because people get so loaded they fall asleep. Wait,
You know what my thing is? I'm gonna say this first before you continue, man.
Yeah, man.
Making chocolate bars, making gummies, it's just too attractive to children. My
I
fear
agree.
is that, and we've seen those stories that probably the kids were in better behavior, but it's still not. I don't know. To me, it's not acceptable. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, it's not just that. I mean, when I was in college, I worked in the liquor store in Savannah, and the liquor companies were candifying booze. They sent us one year these, those ice pops you get, those real long plastic ice pops. You freeze them and it's like got grape and cherry. Well, they had Jello shots that were in little packets about, I don't know.
Oh yeah, I live in a college town, dude.
These came out.
What they invented.
We put them on the desk at the register, and a big brandy snifter, and these, the mothers would come in for their cooking sherry.
Oh yeah.
Would buy their cooking sherry, and then their little kid would be like, "Oh," and try to reach into the thing. And I have to tell the kid, "No, you can't have that." And the kid's like, "Why?" Because it's for adults. It's alcohol. But to them,
Booze,
the kid
kid.
looks like candy. Looks like a freezer pop.
What if a kid says, "Okay, I'll take 2 of those and give me some condoms"?
Well, I remember them little candies we used to get. Well, my parents would get at Christmas that had the rum in it and other liquor in
Yeah,
it. I
that's
remember
different.
eating a couple of them. I remember getting pot one day. My mom was like, "Really?" Because I was high as hell walking around the house. I was like, "Oh yeah, look at this."
There was this
I
guy in
didn't
my
even know what
town
high
called.
meant either. That's the bad part.
There was this guy in my town called Lee. Lee's Liquors, a little old Chinese man. He's probably dead by now, but he sold us starting at around 12 or 13 years old. I think I was 12 when I bought my first bottle of Boone's Farms. He would sell you anything. If you had the money, you could buy Jack Daniels, Southern Comfort, walk out the door. We used to go play roller hockey. Take this Boone's Farms Strawberry Hill. They had the apple wine. They had Strawberry Hill. Drink it. Play roller hockey. Those were the days, man.
Oh wait,
Lee's
I
Liquor.
got,
You
I
could
got,
buy
I got to
cigarettes
talk
out of a
about.
machine.
I got to talk
Yeah,
about
cigarette
Mike's
machines,
girlfriend.
remember?
Right quick.
for 75 cents.
Yeah,
Right,
put a few
so-
quarters in. My father's gas station when I was a kid, they were 45 cents, man. That's the first time and I bought a pack because all of his mechanics smoked, and I smuggled it with my friends. I was only 9 years old or something, man. And we were like in this candy cane park, this little park with rides, and like trying to smoke these Marlboros. Me and my friends,
Jesus,
my friend's
lucky they
sister,
had
my
filters on
friend's
them
older
back then.
sister, my friend's older sister comes along. She was like in junior high or whatever. She's like,
I'm gonna
"What
tell
are you
on
doing, stupid?" And starts bitching, and we're smoking cigarettes. She's like, "You're doing it wrong." And she like
Let
showed
me
us.
let me talk about your girlfriend for a minute, Michael. Megan Merkel.
AOC.
No, this is Megan Merkel. This is your other girlfriend. We know you like dark
Who?
women, so Megan Merkel. You know who Megan is, the one of the
Megan?
ex princess, whatever you want to call it.
Oh,
So they're talking
the
about her
Malibu
podcast.
Barbie.
Yeah, they were talking about her podcast, which has been eviscerated by readers. So now 98% of the people who listen to it won't even listen to her anymore. This
Because she's
chick,
racist.
so she is racist, but it's worse than that. So this
She
chick,
is.
she just, yeah, she's racist against white people that don't have red hair.
No, she had Serena Williams on the show. And then she said that people mistake her for Serena Williams, which I don't understand that one at all. You know,
Why
they
would you
don't
want to
at it,
look like, if you're a woman? Wait a minute, let's go back. Why, if you're a woman, would you want to look like Serena Williams? Let's be honest. I mean, come on,
That is
guys.
one unattractive lady.
I mean, that girl's just scary looking. I'd be scared
Then-
that I'd get hurt. I'd get
But
punched
then
in the
she
head.
went
or
on
something.
about Compton, like like Serena, like comes from Compton. I don't come from Compton. I don't know why people think I come from Compton. My mother doesn't come. It's like she was like really offended. I don't know. It was a weird thing. But she's no brainiac, obviously, and she has a
Obviously.
podcast, and she got the Prince Cuck.
You know why she got the podcast? Because her and the Obamas got the axe. Well, not completely axed, but on their way to being completely axed from Netflix.
Netflix has no money anymore. They wasted.
Well, Netflix don't want them anyway because they suck. I mean, they're not good for ratings. And wait a minute, I'm confused. So Barack Obama was doing nature show, like the guy from the insurance company. I'm like, what? I was like, what? He's an ex-president. Why would he be doing that shit? They should have gave that to Will Smith, man. I mean, come on, especially since he bitch slapped. What's his name? Sometimes I just don't get how these people think. What do they got, like 12-year-olds running stuff now?
Yeah.
Seems like it.
Or they have the mentality of a 12-year-old.
Yeah.
It's like that. We were gonna have our own ghost show, man. We went through the process and gave my social security card number and all that. I found them other people, and we were all set to sign the contract. Netflix dumped everybody, all the new shows, everything. They dumped it. They didn't even tell anybody either. That's crap too, Just waiting to hear from them, and they try to figure out what the hell's going on. They don't tell you. That sucks.
That's
the way people use
1 minute
you.
You're in, 1 minute you're out.
They use you. They abuse you. They don't care. They just, nobody cares about you, your mom, maybe. It's that kind of thing. These days, it's a scary world out there.
And that's if you still got one of them. So you better be hoping you do.
I used to tell
Elizabeth
the kids,
Warren
you walk
points
out
out
that
Mitch
door.
McConnell graduated from a school that cost $330,000 a year. Yeah. And how long ago was that, Elizabeth? Miss Pocahontas? You should never talk about anybody lying, biatch. And I would have turned around. If I was Mitch McConnell, I said, well, what are you, jealous, Pocahontas?
She's still listed in Harvard as the first female to enter law school of color. She's whiter than anybody. She has no color. She's not Native American, but she put that down on her list, so they list her as a person of color, and that's the first. So that in Harvard, and she's never gotten rid of that. Say, hey, you can't say that. I'm not really Native American. No, they just let it go. let it die down. It's part of the lie. It's all one big lie, right? They all tell it. They're all part of it.
Wait a minute. Hold on. We got to stop for a second. I'm confused about what I'm reading. South Korea has signed a $2.2 billion deal with Russia to build Egypt's first nuclear power plant.
There you go.
Okay, I'm confused. First off, Russia's at war, so why would you sign any deal with Russia? Secondly, why is Russia involved with South Korea building a nuclear power plant for Egypt? That shit don't even make any sense.
Who printed the article?
Oh, CNBC.
Ugh.
Yeah, that's what I said too. I could play it for us, but it just doesn't make any sense.
So they're looking to extend their foothold into Africa somehow. Then.
Okay. Sometimes I just wonder, if I live on the same planet as I used to. It's confusing. It's I did see what's her name? She came out and blasted all the GOP of being too nice. Somebody leaked Haley, the ex ambassador. She came out and said the GOP has been being too nice for too long. They need to stand up, grab a set, and start hitting back on a regular basis. She was pissed. Somebody released a bunch of her, I think, tax documents or something. And when are we going to stop with these leakers? I mean, when are we going to start putting people in jail for leakers? Obama put a bunch of them in jail, but nobody else since then really has. I think it's time, man. It's time. Where'd that go? Oh, there we go. Sorry, I got lost there for a second. Amongst all of the weird pages I had going on. I was reading about Trump's tax documents again. I was like, well, there's nothing to be found there. And now they're starting to push the district attorney in New York about, wait, now you've been doing this. I'm entitled to a speedy trial. What the hell's going on? And that's also what they should be doing with the DOJ and start pushing that as well.
Mm-hmm.
DeSantis stacks up better against Biden and Trump.
No one's pushing for a speedy trial there.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, see, and that's another thing. Yeah, and that's what Hunter Biden can say. Well, I never had a speedy trial, so. But I guess if you've never been convicted, charged or anything, you can't really say that. But DeSantis stacks up better against Biden than Trump. Poll shows. Ooh, what poll
I'll
shows?
tell you this, man. People have a lot more to fear than politics. And there are things going on, even medically, that are going to affect people within 6 months from now adversely. So all these things need to be dealt with. COVID-19 still on the attack, and some states they're at their limits of breaking records of where they've been before. So it's not going away. And as it goes around and reinfects, you see Joe Biden has it again. Either she has long COVID or she got it again, but it reinfects, and as it does that, it drives your immune system down, allows other things in like a monkeypox or Legionnaire's disease, which is on the rise. So nobody in the government is doing anything about it. And you saw Fauci just resigned, but he was ineffectual anyway, and the CDC wasn't ready for that pandemic. They should have been, but they weren't.
They haven't been. And there's been a lot of rules changes, and we can't talk about that because we'll get banned again.
See,
so we
censor.
Yeah. We will, but we don't want to lose a page. So it's one of those things. So
they can call the manager.
The
complaint department's on the 4th floor.
Yeah, so Bakar, which is a Turkish arms dealer, they're making drones. That's what they do for a living now. Turkish company that they specialize in military drones, said Russia will not be getting its drones, and they fully support the Ukraine. So they may be sending these drones to the
free Turkey purchase. I saw on there.
Oh man, Turkish weapons are pretty good, man. I mean, they design pretty.
Because you own one, you have to say that.
No, man. I own a lot of.
You can't say
weapons.
They suck.
No, I own American weapons.
Where's Martha? I don't see her anywhere.
Oh, she's busy protecting the house from wackos.
Well, isn't our CZ arms made out of Turkey?
Well, the original, I think the first AK-47 came out of Turkey. It was. Somebody asked me about that. They said, well, wasn't Turkey our enemy at one time? I said they weren't necessarily an enemy, but they were much closer to Russia than they were to us. That changed somewhere 30 or 40 years ago.
We gave Turkey when they withdrew the line.
We allowed them into NATO, I think is what happened. They said
after the war, we gave Turkey, man.
Yeah, they said, can I come
and we
to
screwed
NATO?
the Kurds. We screwed the Kurds. We didn't give the Kurds any land, and the Kurds are now nomadic and running around. But who helps us in those regions when we need it is the Kurds, right?
Wait! I gotta love this one. John Deedon, DOJ member, no question. Barr let Trump off the hook for what? What did Miller say? No, excuse me. We know for a fact that the dossier was fake. So how could he be letting Trump off the hook? There was nothing real there. They said that. What was his name? What was the guy who did the investigation? Not Miller. What was his name?
Mueller.
Yeah. They said that he said that Trump should have been prosecuted on what? We know it's
Robert
fake.
Mueller,
And do you know
head.
what would have happened if you'd have went after Trump and prosecuted him then, and it turned out to be fake? He'd own the FBI, the country, and everything else in between.
Mueller was the former head of the FBI, so it was in his interest not to come out with the truth.
It's right? and then what's his name? The other special investigator comes out and basically said everything was fake, and Mueller was full of crap. So why would you follow Mueller anyway? See, the news don't even want to talk about the Durham report because it's anti-Democrat. Oh, melting glacier reveals 1968 wreckage of a lost plane with human remains. Wow.
The water must have been pretty low at one time for all this cool stuff to be coming out.
Well, the water was real low. But what's funny about climate change or anything dealing with climate change? So we know at one time the planet was completely covered in ice. Well, not completely, but 70% covered in ice. We know a few times that it has had no ice on it at all. During the dinosaurs' years, it was much richer in oxygen, much higher in carbon.
South Pole, there was dinosaurs in lavish.
Yeah, and we know that. We know that there was mammoths roaming around on top of Russia and Siberia and into the North Pole. So it was all nice and warm.
And the Black Knight satellite.
So this is my question for everybody. If that's all true, which we know it is true, then why are we panicking so much about climate change? Really and truly, these animals thrived.
It's a financial bottomless pit, is what it is, and there's something they can throw money in and not have to justify it like religion. You throw money, and get no results.
It's also fear tactics and people blame. They blame us for global warming, climate change, and also cow farts. But in all actuality, it's
I remember the California governor
byproduct of our atmosphere. It is a natural process of the planet. The planet is always heated and cooled, and in fact, the planet's actually gotten bigger since the dinosaur times. So every year as we go by, millions and millions of pounds of rock hit the planet, and the planet gets a little bit bigger each decade, each century. But this process has started since the atmosphere formed millions of years ago. If we try to even attempt to stop it or fix it, we could wind up killing ourselves. But the fact that the government can go, it's your fault, then those people are like, oh, I got to do something to fix it. I'll send money to them. So that's what it is. They use those fear tactics for you to send money to fix something we can't fix.
So in case you didn't notice, ladies and gentlemen, NOAA and the other atmospheric group, you can actually go to their meetings and put your hand up and ask questions. And I've done this a few times over the years, and I've done it this year alone about 6 or 7 times. So just recently, about a month and a half ago, I attended an OSHA meeting, the NOAA OSHA meeting, and they're going on and on about how in 100 years this is all going to happen. So I clicked my little button and put my little hand up, and I waited patiently for about 20 minutes of listening to all this crap. And a guy says, give me your name. And I told him my name. And I said, I own United Public Radio. And I was just coming in. I said, I always like to listen about these global warming discussions. I said, because there's so much stuff that goes back and forth, and there's been lies and truth and denials and stuff like that. And I said, but my biggest problem is, I said, you morons cannot predict the weather 2 days out, but you're going to sit here and you can tell me what's going to happen 100 years from now. There's no way. Nobody believes you, and that's why they don't believe you. I said, just predict the weather for 10 days accurately. I mean, accurately. When you said it's 90% rain, we want to see 90% coverage. No, that's not going to happen. Oh, it's going to be 85, 95. Oh, it's going to rain today. No, you can't. I mean, you can't even predict a hurricane when it's 2 days offshore. And you can tell me what's going to happen 100 years from now. I said, that's a lie. And you know it's a lie, and the whole country knows it's a lie. I said, stop it. And then you said algorithm. And I said, then what happened with your algorithm last time? You said, oh, it's showing how we're heating. And then all of a sudden, oh, no, it's in a hiatus because the planet wasn't getting any hotter for the decade. And it still hasn't gotten any hotter. I said, so what? I mean, I said, I agree with climate change. It's more like the climate is shifting and moving than it's actually getting hotter or colder on the planet. I said, because I live in the deep south and it's actually got quite a bit cooler where I live, not hotter. I said, that's why I agree it's climate change and not, global warming, because global warming is a bad statement. I said, which y'all tried to push on us for 2 decades. Well, I said, you know what? I said, Mr. Noah guy, let me ask you another question. I said, in the 70s and early 80s, What was it? I said, what was going on? I said, let's be honest. I said, I know you were here for that. I said, what were we saying was going to happen? And he paused and he grumbled and he paused and he said, the Ice Age. I said, exactly. And I said, doesn't warming pre every Ice Age? And he stopped and he had to agree that before every Ice Age, there's a warming period. So I said, so how do you know that's not what's going on? Well, we just had one end. I said, but that doesn't mean that man hasn't triggered another one. And I said, you just couldn't forget that. And somebody got all nasty. I said, look, dude, you know what? I said, dude, I got a bachelor's in science. Don't tell me I don't know what I'm talking about. I said, that's not get stupid. I said, you can't win an argument. Don't get rude. I said, because I can get rude too. I said, I'm a radio show host. You don't want to go there with me. I said, all I'm saying is you want America as a nation to believe you when you can't predict the weather accurately at all across the whole country. I said, some people are going to fall in like 10% or 20%, but that's why you're having so much trouble. We all look at you and go, well, I want to believe, but you told me it was going to be sunshiny today and it rained, or it's going to rain, but it was sunshine. You know, we can't rely on your truth. I said, you know, you're like every politician. We don't know if you're lying or telling the truth. Well, they got mad, but they couldn't talk to me out.
I took meteorology in college my first year out there, and the only way you predict it is you use trends. You see what the barometer is doing today. You see what the temperature's doing. You see what the winds are doing, and then you look back at this same day 1 year ago, 2 years ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, and 5 years and 10 years ago it rained, but it didn't rain the last 2 years. So we're going to say a 50% chance of rain. That's how it's guesswork. There is no science to it whatsoever. It's pure.
No, they're going by computer models, and they're taking the higher temperatures of those computer models. They admit it.
And how come the British models predict our weather better than the American models? That's
because they're hoity-toity. God-damn it, they're the British. They can't make a good car, but you know what? They're good at predicting the weather.
Anyway, guys, we got to get out of here in a couple minutes because we're at the end. But remember, ladies and gentlemen, if you are voting for the podcast awards, this show is up. We had made the finals as also UFO Undercover made the finals. So please go over there and vote for me. Click yes. Say I love you, Joe. And you know, Jay and Michael are also up for the award because they're co-hosts on the show. So
that's right.
They would like to see a pretty shiny trophy.
Win by definition.
You know, so we want to do it. And remember, UFO Undercover's up too.
You'll get $1 million and a free bus ride to Mexico.
Yeah, that's probably true.
So if you go,
but no, we get $1 million pesos and get a bus ride.
I'm not encouraging people to do this, bud. I'm not encouraging people to do this. This is my question. Let's say you're in New York City and you're hanging around. Here comes a bus from Texas. Here's migrants coming off, and you're kind of hanging around with the group. And I don't have any ID on me, and my last name is now Montaldo. You know what I mean? My name is Juan Valdez. My name is Juan Valdez. So I mean, they're going to give me money. They're going to put me in a nice hotel. They're going to buy me all kinds of stuff. That's a good weekend in the city, man. Maybe it's worthwhile to be an illegal alien for a weekend. Juan Valdez. Yeah. They give you free concert tickets. They give you all kinds of stuff.
I'm looking at free bus ride in New York or DC.
Do you think they would go?
And they have no ID. They don't know if they don't know if they're criminals, killers, whatever. Nothing.
Yeah. You know, it's funny, and that's what's sad. So if you get caught in Louisiana anywhere without a D, you're going to jail.
They don't even know if the kids that are with them belong to them. They just found two babies out in the desert, laying there that these smugglers dumped. They dumped two babies.
Yeah, because they didn't know what to do. And probably sold the mom into slavery or something, or sex. I'm surprised they didn't keep the babies and sell them to somebody.
They probably killed the mom. Yeah. You know, raped her, killed her or something. But all this crime's been invited. Like the Biden, you know, Kamala Harris, Obama, all that stuff going on down there, and a lot of these people coming over actually from Africa, Haiti, and that the citizens. But
the citizens of New York and DC are saying this all of these immigrants are going to hurt Biden's vote. He said it's going to actually turn a lot of liberals. Because
these aren't Mexicans.
Understand.
These aren't Mexicans.
Well, no, these are just South Americans.
Right,
Central
but
America, South America.
Mexico's pissed because they're using them as a carpet to just walk right through, and then using up their services. And
Mexico liked it better the way Trump had it. Keep them, pay Mexico money, and then when they got in, they got to hear and they could come in, and Mexico was happy with that. We were happy with that, but Biden said, "No, we can't do that. No." So 2 million illegals. So Biden said more people come in. So we're in August going into September. 2 million illegals, and not even a year in yet. Not even this year completed yet. That's double almost triple most years. I mean, this guy just does not care.
No,
Oh, Sarah,
he doesn't even hear anything about it,
do
I'm
you
sure.
really believe that 44% of America thinks Biden's doing a good job? Do you really believe that? So first thing you should always ask you when you see a poll, where did it come from?
Yeah, who
It's
took
So
it?
just
you're
another
quoting
lie.
a Gallup poll. Gallup's, I don't know any conservatives that go to Gallup, and not many independents. It's mostly liberals. Gallup used to be the place to go, just like AP was, but they took a liberal agenda. Whoever's running them are liberals. And once that happens, and remember, their polls are only 100 to
You know who
1,000
has a
people.
good polls? Believe it or not, what I actually trust as a source, the LA Times. And they're,
Oh,
even
they
though
do some good ones.
they're liberal based, they predicted Trump to win. I mean,
They
that,
did.
when that last time
They
around,
had
and
Trump up by
their
6 points.
polls were straight on the whole time, man. So I like that. I like that, even
And
they're a
they,
liberal publication, but I like the fact that at least they're honest in their
they also have
numbers.
a lot of good polls over in Poland. But the other thing about any poll you read over here, you got to look at the error factor. They might say Biden's up 44%, but look at the plus or minus error factor. It's probably 4%. So it may be
You're going to
40,
alienate.
maybe
You're going to
48.
alienate all your Polish clients, man.
You Polish people. People of Poland, run for your lives. It's Godzilla has come to Poland.
Polish people don't. They're angry, man. I've known a lot. You know what they are? I've known a lot of Polish girls, incredibly beautiful,
Yeah,
but
good looking ladies.
unbelievably depressive. And there was this one named Ella,
Yeah,
man.
well, you used to be part of Russia.
She
You'd be
made this
depressed,
beautiful
too.
art, but it was most dark and disturbing. If you go and just look at it, you want to cry. And then she's married some dude who's like out, like playing out with his boys and hanging out with his friends, and just leaving her by herself,
Yeah.
baking pies. And I'm like,
we got to go. We got to go, people. But
Yeah,
I seen this guy had posted in the chat earlier, Taylor Dean. First, he put everyone knows they are the old Nazis of World War II. That's what Putin was going after in the Ukraine. Also, he's taking out the bio labs. All weapons will be sold on the black market. This is Taylor Dean. Somebody was in the chat a little while ago. We were talking about other stuff.
They're already on the black market, man. I mean, really,
everything's on the black market. Anyway, we got to go.
The people say that stuff is going to be available on the black market. They don't know the black market because it's already there.
Available on the black market, or the black web, or whatever you want to go. But anyway, guys and girls, we got to get out of here. Man. We got other people doing. I still got to bring my son home, and that's an hour drive from here and back. So I hope everybody enjoyed the show tonight. Any moans, which is a complaint, write to Michael Angley at Michael Angley Loves You.
MichaelAngleyLovesYou.com.
And well, I know we're going to get ahead. Jay, where are you going to be next week? You're on or off? You're with Jay, or with Jeff?
I'll be off next week. I just looked. I'm working next Friday night.
So the fabulous Wham will be co-hosting on the Church of Mavis for
we have Wham and Jeffrey next week.
It's Wham. Thank you, ma'am. And she hates when I say that, by the way. She hates that shit. Wham is she's a New Yorker. She's another New Yorker. She's up there in New York, and she's very
liberal. A doctor.
Yes, she's a doctor's PhD. She's in New York. Every time you see her on camera, there's like 5 of the main books around her, and. Well, somebody said you have no liberals on your network. I said, obviously, you don't know our network. I said, Church of Mavis has 2 liberals on it. I said, we have a couple other hosts that are liberal on the network. We have a couple of conservatives. We have a couple of medalists and centralists and some independents. And then we have a big group. I said, we don't tell anybody what the politics have to be. We're not a cookie cutter network. We want people to be unique. So when we do political shows, they're fun, which we are So September, October, November, we are less than 3 months away from the midterms, which we will be hosting the midterms on this network. There's usually 5 or 6 or 7 hosts here. If you know your politics, you're welcome to come hang out with us and chat with us. We ask everybody to, get 4 or 5 sources each. That way, as we're going through the night, we're polling together. So we're combining our polls to find out who's right, who's wrong, where it's going to go. You'd be surprised. We're quite good at it, guys. It goes much better than CNN or Fox. And I got to tell you, this year it's going to suck for NBC and CNN because they've been firing people. They're going to be breaking it out. It's going to just be a sad state of affairs.
They're trying to go middle of the road. I don't know how the hell.
Yeah, CNN said. I don't know. Somebody told me Stephen. Yeah, well, Stephen. Well, see, let's be fair. CNN started out middle of the road. That's who they were. That's what made them famous. The Desert Storm, all of that. They were middle of the road. They were honest. They were true, fair, and balanced. Actually, is what they were. And then by the second war, they'd gone all liberal, I guess, because there was a Republican in office or something. But they went more and more. And then next thing it was just liberal propaganda and more liberal propaganda, just like MSNBC. And they lost their way. But somebody told me Stephen Colbert's producer went over and took over. And he said, we're going back to having a mix of shows. Because one, you can't have a good panel if you don't have different political views, you know. I mean, look at The View. I mean, does anybody even watch? I don't know anybody who watches The View. I do hear stuff about them from time to time because they make the news, but, you know, and Whoopi, I loved you, Whoopi. Now you suck. You know, I mean, you suck so bad that Star Trek replaced you.
Yeah. With a younger you.
Yeah, with a younger you. So, I mean, you know, they just replaced you. They brought that old rickety ass Picard back, but they sure replaced Joy. I should say Patrick Stewart. And before anybody asks, this is their last season. Patrick will be retiring from this. He did say if they want him to come back and play like an admiral or general or something like that, you know, where he's sitting behind a desk, that's fine. But you know, he's up there in age. He don't want to be running around the streets anymore, getting lasers blasted at his ass or being converted into androids or things like that. So
Yeah,
I know there's a lot of people hoping that 709 will get a spinoff like
that'd be nice.
And I think she could hold her own. But remember, people, no one is happy with the curse in Star Trek. First off, people for some reason don't think you should curse in Star Trek. Maybe that's because all the prior Star Treks, they didn't curse. And to be honest with you, if you serve aboard any military vessel, you better not curse when you're on duty because your ass will be in a world of shit. It doesn't work that way. When you're off duty, you can have a sailor's mouth all day long, but when you're on duty, do not curse. It is not tolerated, and it is actually an infraction of the rules. And that's how it would be in any military because you don't want to be distracted.
Mm.
You know, and really, you think a girl right out, you know, what was her name? The little chunky blonde on Discovery. She was right out of the academy. You really think that any commander is going to put up with that mouth? There ain't no way. And she talks back to her captain. No, that's never going to happen on any ship anywhere. Doesn't matter who you are. It could be peace, love, and light shit. That's not going to happen. You don't question your captain unless you're number one. You just don't do that. That's how you get tossed in the brig for insubordination. In the Navy, man, you can be locked up for 15 years for that stuff. You just don't do it. But we got to go. So I know, Jay, so you off what, a couple weeks, 2 weeks, 3 weeks?
It'll be 3 weeks. I'll be back on the Church of Mavis.
Yeah, but he's like us. He's got a job. He's got to live. You got to make a living. Michael is on Discovery Paranormal on Tuesdays and Red Pill News on Thursday, so you can catch him out. He's in between the Delicious Recipe and the Outer Realm,
and they're lucky, both of them.
And then on Tuesday he is between.
On
Tuesday,
beautiful
in between
filling.
Yeah, well, I'm gonna say on Tuesday in between Guiding Light, which is Nicole Antoinette, and Chasing Prophecy with Jenny. So,
and they're lucky to have.
See, everybody's just lucky to have him. So y'all catch him on both those shows, and don't forget we got new shows on the network. We've got the Guiding Echoes and Crappy Clown.
Who's that cute girl, man? What's that new one?
That's Antoinette, Nicole Antoinette.
Yeah, she's cute, man.
Yeah, she's sweet. She's a nice girl. And so anyway, that's all around
the only
right
reason
now.
why I do anything.
Yeah, and y'all can find me all over. I'm on Mondays, Wednesdays, Fridays, and Saturdays. So just pick a day and I'm around talking about something. Oh, matter of fact, I did the Von Hunt show last night. So y'all go catch it. It is available on the network. Or go over his server and listen over there. He's on Blog Talk.
Where can people vote for the show?
Radio.
Where can they vote for the show, man? Your average person out there.
You can't. Okay, you can't. If you're an average person,
hungry.
Unfortunately, you can't vote at the podcast awards anymore. There's only 2,500 people left to vote. So they picked 500 podcasts. They took 2,000 people from the original vote list and 500 from the podcasters that actually had shows up for awards. And those are the only people that get to vote. So I know 25 out of the 2,500. So just we're all hoping, baby. We're all hoping. I got runner-up last year on 2 shows, so I'm happy. I mean, anytime my shows make runner-up, last year we had 3 shows up. This year we got 3 shows up. Outer Realm didn't make it this year, but they were also up for best female podcaster. There was a pretty tough group out there, so Michelle ain't gonna let that shit happen next year. You can bet on
because
that.
those whooping sticks only work in Canada. It's assault.
That's true. That's true. It is assault in the U.S. Remember, ladies, just because Canadian women can lock their men in jail, in cells in the house, you cannot do that here in the United States.
Leave that whooping stick at home.
Canadian women are very abuseful to their men. It's probably, Mr. Pink Shorts probably caused it.
They got to keep him in line. They got to keep him in check.
But anyway, on that note, we got to go. I want to thank again everyone for tuning in to United Public Radio and the Centralist. If you don't know what a Centralist is, I'm not going to get into it right now because I'm too close to the end of the show.
We's in the middle of the road, even though
we are in the middle of the road, pretty much. I mean, there is no, when you hear about independence and all, they're kind of wishy-washy, squishy-washy. We're not. We're in the middle. And when we're talking, sometimes we're hating.
Some of us.
Yeah. Some of us hate on the left. We hate on the left. Like tonight was hate on the left night. Some nights hate on the right night.
But
sometimes
they demand it. They beg for it.
They do.
I mean, they're not rational, man.
So
what's going on?
You get here is we talk about the news. We actually do the articles.
The right sucks too.
And then we just discuss what we talked about. So on that note, we got to go and thank everyone again for tuning in to United Public Radio and the Centralist.
Bye, y'all.
Where's my echo, man?